We've got 2 of our top 4. Now it's time to find the next 2 as we go into our 3rd and 4th semi-final. Scarlet's coming up later, but first we have Captain America going up against PtitDrogo. We'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. Hope you've all been enjoying your tournament so far. We're nearing the end of day 2. Before we move into day 3, a quick thank you to our wonderful sponsors Zowie, Razer, G2A, Monster Energy, and of course Alienware. Do remember, when you use Twitter and social media, hashtag DHOpen, hashtag WCS, and hashtag Roddy in the club. Now back on the desk we have Todd, Nathanius, and Rotterdam. How you doing, boys?
Doing great.
Good.
And it's awesome out there, Sean. It's really awesome out there. I mean, just the reception as soon as like a series is over, like they go wild. And then even when, you know, the loser is obviously disappointed, sits in the booth for a little bit, and then eventually when they pick up their keyboard and stuff, even that person gets a like standing ovation as well. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I had to see it when Wilmer left his booth, but true. Another player he goes up against, another 3-0. He can't be stopped, seemingly.
That's the real question, huh? This tournament has had some really interesting results, of course. True bringing out his own flair in these games. Amazing harass that we saw, and taking such a dominant series. It made it look pretty ugly, to be honest.
He's been dominant throughout the entire tournament. I mean, sometimes you get 3-0s and we say, but it was a lot closer than the scoreline suggested. It's not true for most of the games of True, man. Like, they were one-sided series. He's just demolishing people left and right.
And by the way, guys, Europe is in trouble here. It's up to Hero Marine or PtitDrogo to try and win the tournament. A lot of North American-based players doing really well here.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
What's happening?
Kev! Remember where you're from, Kev. He's like, I live in California.
Like, when Europe does well, he's like, oh yeah, I'm from the Netherlands. And then like North America does well, he's like, I'm American,
like, chicken
right?
wings.
then when America does well, it's like, oh, you do Five Guys with Nate too. It's okay.
Any man who eats as many wings as I do makes me American.
Well, let's take a quick look at the bracket. As you can see so far, we're starting to develop our semi-finals. But it is safe to say, this side of the bracket, seemingly where all the good players have stacked up. So maybe that's where the competition to perhaps True, if he beats Hero Marine, is going to come from. Well, that's what we're here to hopefully find out. Polt versus PtitDrogo is our next game coming up for you guys. And then we'll be going to the big match, which everybody's looking forward to, including your mum and dad at home, Scarlet versus Neeb.
I mean, that's not totally fair to True, though, because he did get Snoot and Heistem in the round of 32 and round of 16. That's not an easy bracket by any means.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the right top side of the bracket, the one that we're currently looking at, obviously Polt is still a world-class player, especially when it comes to the WCS circuit. But he's had a pretty, you know, it's never easy, but it's a pretty nice bracket for him so far. He got Shadone in the round of 32.
He lost the map against Shadone.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he lost the map against Shadone. He got Tootming in the round of 16, but you can't complain about it. Compare that to Hero Marine, for instance. He got Marine Lord and Showtime. I mean, that's a different level. So I think the right top side of the bracket, a little bit easier. The right bottom, however, very stacked.
Yeah,
all right,
the results have just been crazy.
Before we talk about the game, and we've got lots to talk about it, we are going to bring the players out on stage. So Canada, please make some noise once again.
Thank you very much, Apollo. It is my pleasure to introduce our next 2 players. The first player is our Leipzig champion from earlier this year, looking for a shot at a 2nd title. While facing him is a veteran player that you all know. He's the only 4-time WCS champion. Please, Canada, welcome on stage. It is PtitDrogo and Polt. Now, Drogo, I'll speak with you first. I spoke with you yesterday, and when I spoke with you, you were very honest with me. You told me that, to be honest, you're not very happy with where you are, but that being said, you have shown a great performance at this tournament. You defeated Bunny first, and then you defeated a Laser, and now you're up against Captain America himself. Now, obviously, Polt is a tough opponent, but that being said, you have a chance here to now make it to the top 4, so what are your thoughts before this match?
All I know is that I didn't really care that much before. But if I win this one, I pretty much got to BlizzCon. So I actually want to win this match this time. So I'm going to do that.
All right, then. Well, Drogo says he really, really wants to win this match. But Polt, everyone here knows who you are. We've been watching you play and win tournaments for many years now. The only player to win 4 WCS titles. And Drogo says he really wants to win this match, but I'm sure you have something to say back to him.
as far as I know, after this, like there are more tournaments for WCS Point, and I want to make the rest of the tournaments more like interesting. So I have to win this. By doing that, I take like the winner's spot again. So there will be more players competing for the BlizzCon spot.
Okay, so Polt says he wants to make things interesting. Players, please shake hands and enter your booths. It is time to find out which player will be joining the first 2 semifinalists that have already joined the top 4 spot. Sean, back to you.
Thank you very much, Smix. Kevin, I want to start with you. A very interesting point I like to look at this matchup with. As Drogo said, if he wins, he's in the position to qualify for the global playoffs. Yeah. The funny thing is, if Polt wins, he kind of keeps Drogo out of there, therefore allowing Violet to keep his position inside the top 8. Being teammates, being housemates, that's pretty big.
I mean, Polt has been crushing Nerd's dream since like 2011, so I wouldn't be surprised if another dream is getting shattered over here. But it is obviously cool, especially interesting if you look at Drogo's road, right? Like normally when we look at WCS points, somebody has a good start of the year, gets a few more. It's like, okay, congratulations, you qualified for the global playoffs. Drogo started off as good as he could possibly start off by winning Leipzig. And since then, it's just been like, a downward spiral. And now suddenly the hope is alive again. So it's been a very interesting journey, especially for the Frenchman.
Yeah, Polt, what he said too was funny. He says like the most bad-mannered things in the nicest of ways as well. He's like, I'm going to keep it interesting, so I'm going to destroy you right now. He's like, okay. But Drogo is a man on a mission. Yeah. You mentioned, I guess, the slump, so to speak, in terms of results in particular that he went into. And right now, when you look at him, he looks very different than he used to at those tournaments. He never smiles after he wins the map. He doesn't show any emotion. He's like, I've lost so many series after being up 2 map. I'm going to stay focused through the whole thing. And you can tell how much this guy cares for it. He's known for how emotional he can get during some of the series, which he's going to need to make sure that here he doesn't let that happen against somebody like Polt, because otherwise he's going to be really hard to win.
I was going to mention it. I feel like Drogo's come into this tournament with his emotions turned off. Like, compared to all the other tournaments he's played in, he's let it get to him, he's been on Twitter, but this tournament, he's said nothing, he's just gone on and he's played. But now it does matter to him, and he has already kind of showed a bit of emotion that this is a very, very important game for him.
I like this because it kind of reminds me of what Thermal said when he went into IM Shanghai. He was like, I'm not coming in with the big expectations, right? I'm just going to be here, I'm going to play, and not let it get to me at any point. And then as he got deeper into the tournament, we kind of saw that come out. But Polt is still a monstrous opponent to go up against. And I have to say again, I love Polt's showmanship, saying, I'm going to make things interesting by taking away the winner's spot from this tournament, and now points matter even more.
I mean, going back to Drogo, saying that he looks a little different now, we already mentioned it in the round of 32, that after he lost in the NSL, it wasn't the regular, oh my god, this is not meant for me, I'm upset. Yeah. It was more like, I actually felt like I played pretty well today. I just think that Snoot's style was really hard to deal with, etc., etc. But he was in a different place, and yeah, we've seen a different Drogo this tournament, very different than we saw in Katowice and in Valencia, etc., etc.
Yeah. And these players that stayed over in Shanghai after the Intel Extreme Masters, they played in the NSL. They've been practicing on the Korean server as well, and it's. I mean, it really shows for Drogo, like to be able to beat Bunny, which is somebody he's struggled before against, already goes to show how much he's improved versus Terran. Now, Polt is no Bunny. Obviously I would rate him higher, but I would definitely say Drogo. I think he has a chance, especially since stylistically he seems to play a little bit differently too, like a little bit more defensively, will go into Tempest, won't just like mass gateway units and try and kill his opponent right out. He's definitely learned to be a little bit more patient too at times.
Despite Polt being the favorite here, which I'm pretty sure we're all going to agree with, I don't think there's that much pressure on Polt, right? I mean, he's already qualified. Obviously, there's tournament points on the line and more prize money, but all eyes and all pressure must be on Drogo in this series. There's so much riding on it for him.
A little bit of pressure on Polt, because ever since he joined Envious, he hasn't really performed, He hasn't been the same player as Cooler Master Storm Polt, who was just dominating nerds left and right and picking up tournament after tournament. So in that regard, there is a little bit of pressure. Obviously, I guess Envious is not sweating it, because they know it's just a matter of time before Polt will win something, but I guess that's the only thing.
Yeah. I can kind of see it in that way. I mean, Polt can kind of approach this series however he wants. It's very free, and I don't disagree with you there, but it's also possible that he's still, whatever his practice regimen that he's going to have prepared for the global playoffs is something that he's already working on and doesn't need to show yet, or it's only just started and it hasn't shown yet.
Hey, looking at that total earnings kind of tells the story of this matchup, really, isn't it?
More than 10 times more. Yeah. And they've never played, though. They've never played against each other, so that's always interesting to see a first matchup. They've only got to kind of study from each other's VODs against somebody else.
Todd, do you think that Drogo's going to be able to keep his emotions in control here? Because I think if he can, then he's going to play to the level that he can play. But if he lets it get to him, that's where he's going to start to struggle.
I think probably not, but hopefully it's enough. He does it enough in order to play well that he can win here up against Polt.
All right, predictions and final thoughts. Kev, we'll go with you first.
I think it's kind of silly to predict against Polt in this phase in the tournament. Like, Polt has been a little disappointing lately, but I do think he's going to take this series. I'd say 3-1.
We're too deep into a tournament that actually matters now, so on the largest scale possible, it's got to be Polt 3-0.
Cool.
Like we said, it's kind of silly to predict against Polt, but silly is my specialty, so PtitDrogo is going to win 3-2 here in this one.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to get ready for the third quarterfinal here, to get ready for the semi-finals and get ready for Scarlet playing a little bit later on. But for now, it is time for this one. It's going to be with Roddy and Nate.
Thanks very much, Sean. As we get ready for Captain America to, well, Kev, unless Drogo pulls out an incredibly impressive series, move on closer and closer to another potential title. They were talking about it on the main stage. Polt has so many of those. He's picked up so many big tournaments. He has been the terror of the WCS system for Americans for years now. And this has been the first year he's been pretty much, I'd say, while still on top of things, not completely dominant like he was before.
Yeah, normally he wins the tournament in the summer or like late summer, like early spring or autumn or something. Yeah. And this time, however, he won the very first big one all the way back in March. And since then, he's indeed been a little bit quiet. But it's still, I mean, it's still Polt, and this man has won so much money, Nate.
Now it's time to find out what he's got to show Canada here. In the bottom left position, our red Terran player representing Team Envious. He's Polt.
And on the right bottom side of Neo Gettysburg, we're looking at the main base of our blue Protoss representing My Insanity. Give it up for Drogo. I think the moment Drogo stepped on the stage, I think he said, Allez le bleu, because it's pretty blue out there, and that's kind of how they cheer for themselves. First map is very good, by the way, for Drogo. Neo Gettysburg, it doesn't really get much better for Protoss out there than this one in PvT.
Yeah, there's a lot of space that you can work with in the mid-late game. Also, we've already kind of gone over, I guess, in quite a few of the matches that have happened on this map, that drop path, very direct. You usually know where it's going to come, and actually, it's always weird to kind of blindly throw units via the sky on this map, because if you don't focus on it, you can actually get them stuck in those island expansions as well with those big old walls.
Yeah.
Units do not path around those normally, so you do have to be careful with them.
Every now and then you wonder where your observers went, and then all four of them are tucked away in one of these corners. You're like, damn
How is that even possible?
Yeah, who designed this map? Now, there is one thing I do want to bring up before this series really starts going on the way, is that even though Drogo has played pretty damn cool so far, and a very good run, there's one thing that kind of scares me. He's very adventurous. On multiple moments throughout this tournament, we saw him on the other side of the map, no matter how small or big the map was, without a pylon, without a warp prison, without a mothership core.
Yes.
He's got to be very careful, because the moment that Polt realizes that something like that is possible, he will capitalize on any opportunity to wipe your army off the map and then immediately run to your side of the map and straight up win the game. So even though Drogo's run has been very good so far, it was also very risky from time to time.
Yeah, he certainly made quite a lot of ballsy calls in his decision-making process as the games have progressed. But I'm interested to see how he's going to play the longer game as well, because it's hard for me not to think about all the Colossi that he pumped out against Terran, and the fact that we actually saw a little bit of that earlier on, or glimpses of it at least, in Neeb's games versus Euthermal. Is that something that's going to pop up again as the PvTs happen in this tournament? But Polt, so far, extremely standard with his opening. This is about as cookie cutter as it gets.
I mean, yes, but on the other hand, on Neo Gettysburg, we don't always see the Reaper, because a lot of Terran players feel that Reapers are completely useless
they
on this map.
They are weak on this map.
Yeah, this, what can you compare it to? There used to be another map like this. I don't know, a map where we always said, like, it's not really worth making a Reaper, because the moment it jumps into the main base, it's pretty much guaranteed to die. Daybreak was a little bit like that, but I guess.
Yeah, well.
There was another one, a little bit more recently. But it doesn't matter. So we see the robotics facility and the Twilight console being warped in. Polt doesn't know this yet. Our observer Flo did show that it's a double barracks opening for Polt, so he will have access to a lot of Marines and Marauders early on.
Yep. As that Twilight Council and robotics facility finish up, Polt seems to be going for the standard build, just right up with these Marines, getting a mine, getting the starport, and then most likely getting up his stim and trying to go for that mine drop into the stim Marine attack follow-up, whereas Drogo, well, he had the Prism on the way, he stopped it, Roddy.
Yeah. I wonder why, maybe a little bit indecisive there, perhaps a little bit nervous. Okay, how many gateways is that? I think it's just 2 extra gateways, so everything is standard for now, unless he gets a few more, man.
He has the money.
Is Drogo gonna go crazy here?
Yeah, there we go. More gateways on the way for Drogo, so he is going to do some cheeky Adept Warp Prism play. There's the Prism now on the way, so you wanted to get the one Observer out first. I mean, the Prism didn't really line up with Resonating Glaive, starting it as early as it was originally.
It's 5 extra gates, so we're up all the way up to 6. I mean, picking up this Reaper would be awesome for Drogo. Polt probably wondering, like, what is going on? This Observer could, of course, identify, man. It's a 7 gate.
He's channeling the spirit of the Canadian Protoss that isn't here, Kev.
Sure. Actually, he is here. I've seen him. He's walking around. Yesterday, at least.
Wow. Didn't come say hi to us. Where's the passion?
Oh, there's always passion in that little man.
Resonating Glaive is going to be finishing up soon as that Prism makes its way, and all of those gateways. So Drogo's going to come. He's going to see, okay, you're doing a pretty normal standard build. What does Polt have? Where is his army positioned to defend against this?
I mean, bunkers are very, very important. The moment I say that, Polt actually throws down 2 bunkers. How does he know? Did he throw down a scan or something? How is he this sure about it?
He sees no third base.
Wow, Polt's spider senses are unreal. That's so good, Nate.
I mean, most Protoss do take thirds around this time, so maybe the lack of that, he's just panicking, right? He's like, I see a bunch of adepts. This is probably where it's going to go. But yeah, very interesting call to be made by Polt here as he sets up that Prism, plants itself in the base. Here come the adepts going inside of the main, rushing over the SCVs, trying to get a couple of defensive turrets. But now there's adepts inside the naturals. 6, 8 ACVs already picked off. Drogo getting a lot of economic damage here.
So I think the best thing that Polt can do here is try to defend one of these 2 locations. You either clean up the main or you clean up the natural. It's one of the 2.
He's not mining anymore at all.
Oh, you gotta lift your orbital, Polt. It's starting to take quite a bit of damage. I'm not sure if he's paying attention. Look at oh my god, it's running so low on HP, Nate. The orbital.
Yeah, he's got Liberators here to fight. The orbital is in the air. A Widowmine is going to detonate from the natural expansion, but the SCVs rush over to that command center as it passes over the bunker.
Stim is done, and there is 1 Liberator now.
Yeah, and with the medevac support, it is important to keep in mind, of course, that +1 attack those adepts not two-shotting the Marines as they would once upon a time, so takes a few more shots, teleports away.
I mean, it's still hard to
this bunker.
I mean, this is great so far for Drogo. Of course, could raise the depots there, trying to get the adepts out of the main base. That's not going to happen. Will he cancel the shades? No, he won't. He's going to let them finish up. That means a few more dead SCVs, but most of these adepts are going to fall as well. Does Polt have enough to counterattack?
He drops that mule in the face of danger, and it's actually going to immediately get picked off by these adepts. So
oh my god, he lost so many SCVs.
Actually getting a disgusting amount of damage done against this Terran very early in this game. Polt left with 14 workers.
Wow.
Brutal.
I mean, army supply is slightly in favor of Polt, but I feel like this is one of these games where he took so much damage that's going to be very hard. And let's not forget, this mothership core... Oh, that's an Artosis pylon if I've ever seen one, by the way.
Lol.
If that one gets on power, this game could still spiral out of control. Polt is probably going to see that, but there are adepts on the low ground protecting it. Okay, Liberator as well. I mean, normally Drogo should have enough here not to take too much damage, right?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest focus has to be just getting the upgrade that he needs to deal with this bio, with the stim. And I have to say, despite all the damage, obviously you want to try to get that third out.
And you want to get a few more pylons powering those gateways.
If he busts that pylon and loses the game because of that, we'll be hearing Tasteless shout GG from all the way out wherever he is. Doesn't need to be cast in this game to reach us.
Tasteless should just come to the caster desk and say GG
just to give us a GG for that Artosis pylon.
Combat shield being researched now for Polt. Polt deciding not to sacrifice his units, obviously realizing that if he would lose one of those 2 medevac, that's pretty much all that he was working with. He would lose the game, and he felt like there wouldn't be any chance for him to find an opening. Of course, that mothership core had 200 energy, so he has to worry about 4 photon overcharges, and then also 6, 7 gate of, you know, ability to warp in. I guess Polt just didn't want to take the risk, and can't really blame him, Nate.
With this setup, though, looks like he's going to entertain the idea of going for a big drop, possibly near that pylon, Roddy. With a Liberator. And a Liberator to lock this down could help prevent any aggressive play to shut this down.
And does Drogo have vision of this path or something? He's supposed to have some vision, but he doesn't know.
No.
The pylon, Nate.
Not like this.
Hey, the pilot!
Not like this. The medevacs are coming in. The Liberator is going to siege up. The Marines are going to come out. There are 2 overcharged, 3 overcharged pylons now
good.
to try and push this back with all of the Stalker's might. And he will not be able to get up on top of that pylon to shut down the production. The Stalkers blink straight in, getting rid of the medevacs, getting rid of the bio, and getting rid of that Liberator.
Very, very decisive victory there for Drogo in his main base. Cleans it up without too many issues at all. Perhaps Polt waiting a little bit too long. I mean, he wanted to go with 4 medevacs, but he just lost so many SCVs. So every second that went by was obviously a good one for Drogo, just because he was mining so much more. Did lose the mothership core and lost a couple of units, but the supplies kind of tell the tale of this game. It's 120 supply for Drogo against 63 for Polt.
Yeah, it could have been quite a bit worse there. I mean, those gateways still need more pylons, though, guys. I'm not changing my stance on that. Get some backup power there, okay?
I mean, does Polt have any bunkers in his network? He does have Liberator, so it's going to be kind of hard to run up, but the Warp Prism makes his way into the main base.
God.
Massive warp in.
He's got a lot of adepts in the main once again. That army is pushing towards the non-existent third and making its way into the natural. Polt just doesn't have anything to fight against this, losing 20 more SCVs in the blink of an eye. GG! Drogo takes game number 1 against, so it would seem, a vulnerable Polt.
A little bit, perhaps a shaky performance of Polt in game number 1, but New Gettysburg is a very rough map for Terran against Protoss, and the last thing you expect on a map that's bad for your race is your opponent to sort of semi-all-in you know, even though the game didn't end with the first Warp Prism attack. The moment that you lose, what was it, like 35 SCVs, yeah, the game has almost ended. You still have a chance if your opponent does something very silly, but Polt felt something was wrong. That's why he threw up a missile turret, he threw up 2 bunkers. I think the best thing that Polt could have done is immediately evacuate the natural, try to save as many SCVs from the natural as you can, and then try to stabilize in your main base. Defending both locations at once is not possible against adepts, so I think you should temporarily sacrifice one and then try to defend the other.
Yep, I agree. He had the wall between the main and the natural to work with. He had a lot of SCVs that were just chilling in the natural expansion, doing nothing, just hiding by the bunker. And the positioning of the bunker in the main, because of when he decided to do this, he couldn't move it too far forward, and he couldn't get a turret up to stop the warp prism either. So everything just snowballed out of control so fast. We saw, as you said, Kev, when you lose this many workers, like as a Terran, mules are good, but it's not like he had 3 command centers, right?
Exactly.
This wasn't like he killed half his workers in the mid game.
If he had 3 CCs, it still would have been extremely rough, but then it's a little more doable because you know that the Protoss follow-up deck is going to be a little bit later. But at this point, there was just very little that Polt could have done. I still think he should have tried to maybe force an opening with the first 2 medevacs. Maybe you can, like, you know, find the adepts exposed. Maybe you can find a couple of units. But the thing is, even if he finds an opening, Drogo is working with 7 gateways, so he would wipe in 7 units, and then Polt would still be forced to disengage. So pretty much ended with that first big attack. Great start for Drogo, though. Keeps his WCS Global Playoff dream alive.
Yeah, very good result for him to be able to confidently take this first map with such an aggressive strategy. Of course, it is against Polt. If there is one thing that he is known for, it is not being easy to kill. So as the series progresses forward, we'll have to see, is Polt going to regain that form? Is he going to stand up and get ready to rock and roll? We'll find out.
I mean, the maps will only get better for him, right? I believe he vetoed Dasan Station. I believe that Drogo vetoed King Sejong Station, which makes sense. I mean, some Protoss players prefer to veto one of the other. No, I think, did Polt veto Apotheosis, or is that the second map? It's either a vetoed map or it's the second map. I actually think that's going to be the second map, and I think Apotheosis is also a pretty decent map for Protoss. It's obviously not impossible for Terran, but it's just such a large map.
Young Terran fan right there.
No, that person is a Protoss player.
He had his Make Terran Great Again shirt on yesterday, Roddy.
Doesn't matter, he watches my stream. Just heard it.
We're going there. We're going there.
Maybe he used one of my builds against you.
Savage. He streams nice to me is what you're saying?
Well, how could you be mad, Nate?
No, can't. So many awesome folks out here. And of course, as we get ready to go into game 2, it is loading now. Make sure to throw out your tweets, hashtag DHOpen and hashtag WCS. Let us know how you're watching, where you're watching, and who you want to win.
Everybody's so nice, and I love the variety in the audience here as well. Young, old, doesn't matter. Protoss, Terran, Zerg, they're all so nice, Nate.
Yeah, everybody here has been awesome down in Montreal, Canada. We are ready to go into game number 2. Spawning in the bottom left position of Frost, the Red Terran from Team Envious. He's Polt.
Baguette Protoss. The O Gaming folks will be very, very happy to see that one.
Do they do baguettes in French Canada? Is that a thing here?
I'm sure it is, with maple syrup.
All right, interesting combo. In the top right, the blue Protoss player representing Team My Insanity. Give it up for PtitDrogo.
Cross map for us, so no apotheosis just yet. This is obviously a very straightforward map. I wonder what we're going to see here. It's going to be something cheeky again from Drogo. Maybe some Dark Templar opening. I'm kind of expecting him to open up with Blink here defensively. Maybe eventually... Oh, wow, look at that. Command Center first for Polt. Also surprised by that.
Fancy. This is not something that we see an incredible amount about. And you know what? Now that I think about it, isn't this how Bunny opened on this map against Drogo as well? And then Drogo went for the DTs and he got a sick amount of damage done.
And he found it immediately. I think it was...
And he like instantly found his base with the Worker Scout. Although it was different spawns. It was vertical spawns, right? Drogo was in the bottom left top.
All right. So what I tried to say is I think that Drogo is going to open up with Blink here first defensively, but if he sees that there might be an opportunity to pick something off, he might walk across the map and try to apply some pressure. We saw Drogo use a lot of Blink Stalkers in his first series in the round of 32 against Massa. It didn't work out on Galactic Process, but I think maybe he got a little over-egged because he was already up 2-0 in that series. This is a great scout, by the way. Scouting Command Center first, and also the amount of barracks I think is very, very nice information as a Protoss.
Yep, can get to work poking at these SCVs, being a nuisance in general. Knows pretty much everything that he needs to know from this stage. It's like, okay, pretty much just going to go straight into Marines, not much else.
Is he proxying something in the left top, or am I blind? I thought the
maybe that was Polt scouting SCV in the top left.
My vision is so bad.
The screen is a little far, guys, for us. The mini-map is a bit hard to see. So
I was like, why is he like sending something?
Why does someone have vision of the top left? This makes no sense. Okay, double gas being taken by Polt so we can get his normal follow-up going. Nothing really exciting about CC first, just a little bit of a quicker power-up actually in a weird sort of way because you get that second orbital command center so fast. And a robotics facility for Drogo.
Nice catch there for Drogo, picking up that SCV. Obviously, Polt is expecting there to be a Nexus, but it's never nice when you don't even get to see that. He's like, come on, man, I sent out an SCV and I get absolutely nothing.
Polt's like, if this guy was an NA player, I really wouldn't know if there's a Nexus there or not. There'd be 3 more gateways outside my base.
With a Stargate.
Yeah.
Void Rays are charging up as we speak. Like, oh no, who makes Void Rays anymore these days?
The scary thing is that happens more than you'd guess. So Robotics Bay to deal with, I guess, the fact that he's expecting him to go straight away into the Starport tech and that it's not a build that he can harass him with. He's not super vulnerable because it's pretty much focused around Stim and Medivacs.
I mean, this has to be for Disruptors, right? Like Disruptor War Prism?
Yeah, I'd have to imagine it's some sort of...
I'd be so shocked to see like a super fast Colossus stack here. Nobody really does that anymore. There we do see the War Prism. Yeah. So obviously this can work out because Drogo scouted. He knows Command Center first and 3 barracks, like you said, Nate. Late factory, late starport. He should be able to keep his War Prism alive. I mean, as long as not the same curse is on him as it is on Neep, where every Prism just finds every Marine somehow, some way. This could be very frustrating for Polt to deal with. Now, Polt does have a lot of experience with people who open up with War Prisms and Disruptors. There we do see War Prism speed being researched. Because, I mean, Polt plays in the NA region. Neep loves to do this. Bills loves to do this. Puck loves to do this for a while.
A lot of NA Protoss are big fans of the Disruptor drop. And you see it quite a bit there. So Polt starts his factory.
Oh man,
combat shield's on the way.
Sees nothing, Nate. Polt still has absolutely no idea what he's playing against. That's
that's awkward. Uncomfortable.
Oh god. And
did he send his SCV to the 3rd though? Does he had something on the map? Oh, he's checking around the outside now. He's looking for a 3rd base. He's just like, I want to know what you're doing, man. 2 base again. So maybe he's even worried about the same build from last game.
And Nate, often the most successful disrupted drops come from the point where Terran has absolutely no idea they're playing against the War Prism and Disruptor. Because this is not a moment where Polt will be looking at his Marines in the middle of the map. And there's a good chance that his very first Disruptor will connect with like 7 or 8 units. And that's the ultimate wake-up call. I mean, that's like your alarm clock on Monday morning, 7 a.m. It's like, gotta go to work. Feels bad.
This could be really devastating as he comes up towards the natural expansion. There he is, going to go right to the missile turret. Got to back it up, Drogo. The Disruptor pops out, shoots, and gets 3 SCVs.
Good reaction, man.
Now, that could have been a lot worse. Also important to note that it's going to come down to the way that he defends this now as well, because he's got a disruptor that's about to pop out. However, there's not a lot of units here for Drogo.
Yeah, there is a Guardian Shield though, a couple of adapts, and there is a Photon Overcharge available as well, I believe. So I think he should be fine. I mean, obviously,
oh goodness, throws the disruptor shot out, only gets a few Marines. There's the Guardian Shield you were talking about. The adapts come up, take a couple of shots.
No.
2 overcharged pylons.
That looks like a lot of nope. Run away.
Not ready to go into that. Well, that disruptor had the dream right there. That's a scary situation to be microing in as a Terran player. One misstep and all your units are dead.
Oh, Marine's getting pretty close to that Warp Prism. Both disruptors now in that Warp Prism. Obviously very risky. Needless to say, there's some very serious precious cargo in that prism.
He's going to head over back towards the natural, it looks like, with the prism. Wasn't sure if he was going to try to hit the army with that.
That's risky, because there is a missile turret there. I mean, he does have vision of the...
Yeah, he knows about the turret, at least. And he's going to go to take his third, it looks like, right now. As that bio army does retreat back home.
They're going to try to intercept that prism. I mean, Drogo has to notice, right? Wow, Disruptor's not really connecting with anything. Marines were still a little bit too far to the right side. But Drogo's playing with fire there, because yes, he does have one observer, but there is also Marines out on the map, and he doesn't know exactly where they are.
Yeah, that's one of the things that can go bad really quickly, of course. But, I mean, with the Warp Prism speed, Stim Marines can't quite catch the Prism as long as he's keeping his eyes on it, or at least keeping it moving at all times. Wow, okay. Little overkill. We clear the tower.
Hey, man.
That one Marine.
A win is a win, Nate.
Fair enough,
That's
Kevin.
one Marine less that he will face in the big battle eventually.
Fair enough. That guy, he's, well, okay. Resonating Glaives is on the way. +1 armor is coming in. Immortal production continues. Fusion Core and second starport already. So Polt already thinking about getting the Liberator range. Throws a disruptor shot, not able to get anything, but the Stalkers are going to blink forward.
Wow.
And that medevac boost is enough to keep the army alive today.
Very fortunate for Polt there. There were only 3 Stalkers, if that's 4 or 5 Stalkers. I mean, picking up your units against Disruptors can work in small numbers, but the moment that that Stalker count grows, you can't really do that anymore, because then when you pick up your unit, Stalkers blink forward, snipe your medevacs immediately. So, but I must say though, Polt's splits against Disruptors are pretty good. I remember this one GIF on Reddit where it was just insane. I actually got mad looking at that. I was like, okay, this is just not even fun anymore. No man is supposed to split his Marines and Marauders like that.
Disruptors were really cool in this game. Came out with the Terran players were like, oh yeah, we just split again against like this. And some players did it so well that's like, yeah, at the highest level, people are really good at it. So we have the follow-up here being Colossi, though. And this is something that we used to see a lot in the early stages of Legacy of the Void. I'd say in like the beta, he was like, yeah, okay, Colossi with Disruptors. And you kind of use a couple Colossi, a couple Disruptors, a good mix. You can get a lot done. But those Liberators, man, we know the power.
Gotta give it though, so far this is a very good series for Drogo. He just hasn't really made any big mistakes yet. He's not too overeager, he's playing pretty calm and composed. This time he does have a Warp Prism when he makes his way across the map, and he's gonna try to apply some serious pressure. Does he have an observer? There is an observer in production now, but there should be another observer, right?
Yeah. Well, he scanned the one that was on his army, actually.
Yeah,
so
wow, not a single observer.
Decent force fields are going to pull in some of the Marines, but got to watch out for the Liberators. He's getting a lot of shots off of this command center.
Did he leave him at home?
So the force fields, he still has them in place. So he can kill the Liberators, allow the rest of his ground army to fire at this army, and the Disruptors are still alive, still ready to roll. One more shot available, and gets a decent one off on that army as well.
Yeah, somehow connected with a lot of units there. 9 SCVs have fallen. I mean, this was alright for Drogo, but I feel like he needs a tiny bit more. First, Colossus shows up as... No!
Oh, that feeling you missed. Gutter ball.
So, alright, Advanced Ballistics has finished up, I believe. The observer is still not here.
Liberator range is finishing in a few seconds, and that will basically be the get out of here. There's only 4 Stalkers on the map. You're not breaking this many Liberators with that.
But he knows that he's mining off 3 bases now. Polt only off 2, so
that's true.
This is all right for Drogo. Just it's important that he doesn't overcommit. He brings the Mothership Core, could potentially recall if things go bad very quickly, or he F2'd. And he really wants to break this.
Wow, he eats the mine shot with his Mothership Core, blinks up, so no recall potential. Jumps straight into the army, throws it to the Disruptor balls, and hits pretty much nothing actually with those Disruptors. The Stalkers are getting ripped to shreds by these ranged Liberators, blinks underneath, and throws pretty much the entirety of his army away. He still has the 2 Immortals and the Colossus doing work, but got to get rid of the Liberators.
Okay, he does avoid that second Liberator. Yeah, that was very awkward and odd. But Drogo still has a small supply lead, does take care of this tech lab, is starting to work on one of these starports. I mean, Drogo still has a pretty serious army in the natural of Polt. Polt obviously has less production because he was only mining off 2 bases.
So sick that he took that fight with all of his powerful, expensive units just waiting away in the back, not even battling there. There's another couple Liberators now. They do have that range. They siege up. Stalker blinks forward, gets one of the Liberators. Can he reach the second? It looks like no. The Bio Army is pushing out, but Polt dropping very quickly in supply.
Yep, these 2 Immortals doing some serious work as well. If the Immortals weren't there, I think the Marauders could have taken care of the rest of the army, but...
He can go to the third now, right? Like, he doesn't have to...
Does he know? I don't think...
Oh, yeah, I guess he could.
I mean, he should think that it's there, but I'm not sure if he actually saw it fly in that direction. Drogo has very tunnel vision now. Like, he just wants to end the game. He's going to go for another forward blink. He's going to let these Adepts finish up.
All right, he needs that vision to make sure he gets the Liberator. Okay, Stalkers are on the high ground, focusing down. It's so low. He does finally pick it off. The Immortals and the Adepts, with the support of that Colossus, can deal with the ground units. Blinking over to the natural expansion now. But 2 more Liberators. That range upgrade is so good.
I mean, Polt trying to do whatever he can to hang in there, but there is just too much Protoss, man. 5-6 more Stalkers show up, and look at the supply. Drogo 115, Polt at 66. It looked like he was going to be able to stabilize, but there is just too much Protoss. These Immortals, Nate, were not dying.
Absolutely insane game out of Drogo, considering that he's doing all of this against a Terran who has advanced ballistics on his Liberators. That one man on the high ground does need to realize that Polt's got that extra base. I mean, if he went over and killed that now, that's game over.
Yep.
He doesn't actually need to break him in the main base
supply, this is still a tiny bit close. Drogo cannot get too reckless. He let the Adepts finish up, so a couple of these Adepts will obviously be trouble to deal with for these Marauders.
But I don't think Polt has enough to stop this at this point. Another couple Liberators are going to pop out. These guys have to save the game for him. The Stalkers might blink forward one last time. No, okay, they buy him enough time.
Drogo, I think it's time to take care of that Orbital on the low ground.
Check out the third. Just do it. He's going to fight this army out in the open. Stalkers blink forward once again. Gets one of the Liberators. Still another one. It's knocked down. GG. Drogo up 2-0.
Wow. The French Protoss. Drogo showing up in a way we haven't seen him in a while. This is awesome. Like, he's getting pumped now as well. He's feeling it. He knows he's got 3 opportunities, Nate, to pretty much secure his ticket for those WCS Global Playoffs. And that is something that I don't think he would have dreamed of 2-3 weeks ago when he was just going through a rough streak of events, you know, a couple of very rough results.
Yeah, that energy that we're seeing off of him, man, he is feeling it right now. He is jonesing for that WCS playoff spot, as you were talking about. And man, oh man, just another interesting result that we have already in this series. Drogo coming out of the gate in this tournament, super depressed, 0 confidence. Like, yeah, okay, I'm here, you know. I disappointed a lot of people basically all year long after my victory and myself. And now he's actually showing up. He's made it this far against Polt, 2-0 lead. Like you said, 3 chances, 3 maps now. He just has to win one of them, and he will move on.
I mean, we're not exaggerating this. Even in the interviews, I think that Drogo was a little bit down, you know, where he said, like, a few times I may have not played my best, but overall I'm just not a very good player. And it's like, oh, come on, we know you're a good player. You don't win DreamHack Leipzig if you're not good at this game.
He's had that mindset for a while, because I recall now, in the previous interviews he's had in previous tournaments, you know, he goes up on the main stage and say, how you feeling about this? And he's like, honestly, he's like, I've been kind of getting a little bit worse since Leipzig. My results have dipped a bit, and that's kind of been the story for him now. But this is his opportunity to redeem himself and finally take back what he had almost earned early on in this year.
I mean, this fight is a questionable fight, to say the least, because he doesn't really have to take it, but he does take it. And at first we're like, I'm not sure how this is going, but he did a pretty good job in sniping the Liberators and then avoiding the Liberators. Look
how the Colossus wasn't even there for that fight either.
Like, he moves everything forward. His Stalker count was so low, but hey, if there is nothing shooting at these Stalkers, Polt very smartly bringing a couple of units from the high ground. I mean, this was a very cool, interesting fight, and those Immortals, Nate, they stayed alive for a very long time. There were multiple moments where the Marauder count was quite high. If those Immortals would have been replaced by 4 Stalkers, I think the Marauders could have stimmed down and wiped out that army. But Immortals, they don't die very quickly against Marauders.
Immortals are very strong in those low number situations. Let's see if this man can bring it back. He's on the brink of elimination in the top left position, representing Envious. He is Polt. I'm too used to doing that intro.
Yeah, we've done that a couple of times over the years.
A couple hundred times. And in the bottom right position of Frozen Temple, his Protoss foe, representing My Insanity. Give it up for Drogo!
The results this tournament so far, Nate. have made very little sense. I'm just getting surprised over and over and over again.
This whole tournament has been a series of players coming back, players getting better, coming out of school, getting in just insane results that I never would have been able to predict. If you asked me to drop a bracket for this tournament, it would have
looked very different.
Yes, very, very different. So awesome that we've had such sick stories for this. This probe actually getting a nice little bit of taser action on that SCV very early.
Now, if you're a Polt fan, not all hope is lost just yet. Polt is known for his comebacks. He often plays even better when he's down. It's such a cliche, but in a weird way, sometimes it's true. He's very hard to kill, you know, no matter how far ahead you are in game 3 and up 2-0 in a series. People have thrown series against Polt at this point, and especially in WCS in the last few weeks, there have been so many moments where people were up 2-0 and still ended up losing the series.
Yep. Already going back to, what was that, Showtime versus Hero Marine, the first one of the first series in this tournament, where all of a sudden Hero Marine's now coming in to the semifinals.
That's crazy. Best run out of his career.
Yeah, definitely. That comeback started the ultimate comeback of Hero Marine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Cybernetics Core is going to finish up. We'll see what tech path he wants to go to, probably when he tries to clean out this SCV, get rid of the annoying scout, this little spy gathering information for our Terran player.
I wonder what Polt is going to do here. What does he think is the best approach? I mean, so far everything is very standard, obviously. Getting a probe early on is very nice. Good placement on the grenade there, and he will be able to pick off the first probe. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but I can guarantee you that Drogo's on tilt. Every Protoss player goes on tilt.
When they lose when they lose probes to the Reaper.
Yeah, this is the worst feeling, because you know it's not supposed to happen. And I mean, ever since the grenade, I find it a little bit more excusable, because the grenade can, you know, mess things up a little bit and can throw the probe into a weird direction. But
That's
still,
true.
it's not nice.
Fair enough. I agree. Reapers can be frustrating to play against in early game. I know that from TVT. Robotics Facility is coming in, and Polt is pretty much opening up the same way that he opened on New Gettysburg. That 2 barracks with the factory, the starport, probably that early Widow Mine, and we'll see the tech lab start on that 2nd barracks very soon for Stimpack. This is pretty standard. A lot of Terrans have been doing the reactor instead of that mine, but I guess Polt feels this is a safer play, or he just likes the mine a lot in the early game.
Wasn't the factory a lot quicker on this map, though, than on New Gettysburg? Because I think on New Gettysburg, you opened 2 racks very quick, right?
I mean, you still open 2 racks factory. The order that you do it might be a little bit different, but it's the same general layout. He does get the factory faster than the 2nd barracks normally, because most Terran players have stim on the way before the starport begins.
Did you see that? He started stim and then he stopped. What is he going to do, Nate? Is he going to play mech? That's a joke, obviously.
Yeah, that Polt playing mech against Protoss, it'll be a cold day in hell before that happens, I imagine.
But he started stim and he did cancel stim.
Maybe he felt like he needed to stop it to afford to get his medevac out on the right time with the reactor on his factory. That's the only thing I could think of.
No, he's going to start it again. So Blink being chrono boosted out. Frozen Temple is a pretty decent map to open up with Blink. Obviously, defensively, it's always good, but it's also good in an aggressive manner, because there is no ramp going into the natural. So if there's no bunker, you can do some serious work with Blink Stalkers.
Yep, and the 3rd Nexus is going to boot up now for PtitDrogo as well, so he's got himself set up in a position where whether or not that early push or whatever Polt throws his way does damage, he has a good follow-up, and Polt, he's a little bit on his back foot here. He's going to throw up that bunker. He is considering the possibility of aggression. And did he not see the 3rd?
How did that Reaper get into the main base but not see that 3rd Nexus?
What? Okay. So he doesn't know. That's weird. That's a very important thing to know about, because we've seen already in this game 2 builds that did not have fast 3rds from Drogo.
He's throwing up missile turrets. He has a bunker. Obviously, if you're down 0-2 in a best of 5, you start to become a little bit paranoid.
I think he's mind gaming himself, because in the last 2 games, he did not get a fast 3rd base at all. Now Drogo finally does. He doesn't see it. And he's all of a sudden like, oh my God, it's happening again. Let's not let this go as badly as it did. And Drogo's like, yeah, man, I'm actually just getting blinked. My 3rd's almost done, and you're in turtle mode.
What do you think the follow-up is going to be for Drogo? Charge or the resonating glaives? I think he's going to go charge.
He did it earlier against Bunny, right? I think it was on this map too.
Yep.
Bunny was playing with the siege tank build though, so can't say for sure.
That's true, but I still think charge is so good.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, you really like charge zealots, but I don't disagree with you. But adepts are the flavor of the month, at least for Protoss metas.
Flavor of the year so far, I guess, ever since Legacy of the
Flavor of this expansion.
All right, another command center is going down, but obviously this one is so much later than the Nexus on the other side of the map, so Polt needs to do a little bit of work. Sentries being wiped in. Stalkers, of course, very good defensively, especially with a couple of Immortals to fall back on as well. This is rough, man, for Polt. I know it sounds silly. Polt being supply blocked as well, Nate. It's a pretty big supply block even. Ooh, Drogo doesn't see this, but he does have units in the right position.
Yep. His army's in, yeah, as you said, it's in position to deal with this, but there we go. Now it's going to commit, immediately blinks some of the Stalkers out, drops the Force Field.
Oh!
Widowmine gets a decent shot, peels a lot of the shields off, gets another Stalker as well. The Immortal helping to hold the door on the front side of things, gets one of the Medivacs, the empty one.
Never lucky.
Where is the Observer?
He does have one, but he's not bringing it yet.
Uh-oh.
I guess he's going to build a new one. No, he's going to build a Warp Prism instead. Interesting choice there.
Oh.
And he's still standing on top of these mines. Drogo!
Guys, okay.
That Stalker is still in range.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's still in range of at least one of those Stalkers. Ouch. Another one bites the dust.
Oh, no!
And another one.
Whoa, he's taking so much damage in these units. And Nate, there's still no follow-up. It's just Stalkers. I mean, if he's really going to try to put on some serious pressure here with like 8-gate or 9-gate Blink Stalker, Immortal Sentry, I don't think that's going to work after you already lost 3 or 4 Stalkers.
And also consider that a lot of the Stalkers he has are extremely injured. Resonating Leaves now starting up, but it gives Polt a lot of time to recover and prepare, as one of those Widowmines is actually going to run away, so he won't be able to kill both of them immediately.
And he still gets another Adept.
Ouch.
You know what would have been the absolute worst thing?
If it hit that Stalker and got the sentries.
No, the Adept would have ran only the Observer, and then you lose your Observer.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that'd be worse. You lose the Observer, and then you're like, all right, build another one. But I'm already trying to get Immortals.
Wow, fast target.
Yep. And he's going straight into the Fusion Core again. Polt is something he's been doing. He's one of the Korean Terrans that have been doing this a lot, just right up. I see this all the time. He goes straight for Lib Range as he takes his third. Because I think he doesn't like playing versus these heavy gateway styles with a lot of Adepts. He prefers to go straight up to Liberators because he knows, hey, they're really, really good units.
That one Marine has been very useful. It spotted the Warp Prism on the left side and now also picks up the Pro that was supposed to warp in that Fort Nexus. I mean, his target, of course, makes sense because we do see the Fusion Core on the other side of the map, so eventually you want to have access to Oracles and Tempest, but he's also getting a Robo Bay at the same time. I often feel that you do it in steps, right? Either you go first this and then that. Doing it both at the same time can be a little bit expensive, especially because Polt is most likely going to look for a big engagement in, let's say, the upcoming 90 seconds.
Yep, as he gets Liberator range, that's going to be the go button for Polt, because the biggest thing that we're going to be talking about now as the second Stargate and the Fleet Beacon comes up is Tempest to deal with those. So Lib range is kind of what provokes Tempest. You don't have to use Tempest to deal with normal Liberators, but they help a lot even without the upgrade. So we'll see what he gets done here and how fast he's able to make this transition as we have an Oracle coming out to start spotting these units.
Another Warp Prism does keep track of that. Excuse me, another Marine keeps track of that Warp Prism. He's going to use his Liberators to the north side. Now actually he has to worry. I don't think he has any vision of this Protoss army that's marching through the middle of the map. Polt, you moved all of your Liberators. This is going to make things, well, Drogo's not going for it. Oh, okay, good catch.
Okay, so send all the Liberators to catch the Prism. I like it. Denies the harass.
3 out of 4 Adepts do get away. But it's nice.
It's something. Tempests are coming out. And that also says to Drogo, hey, buddy, I've got a lot of Liberators, so get ready. And these Adepts just kind of ran into their death. Another Widowmine, by the way. I think Polt's realizing that Widowmines are extremely good against Drogo.
It's really nice to put Widowmines in random locations where whenever you send an Adept or a Stalker and then suddenly it disappears from the map and you have no idea what happened. I mean, I think it's going to be hard. We have Tempest on the map, right? Are those the first 2 or do we already have 1 or 2 additional Tempests? Because I feel like 1 Tempest is never enough. I kind of think that like 3, 4 Tempests is like the magic. Or I mean, 5 is obviously the dream, but having 3 or 4 is already quite nice. I think this is going to be a very difficult hold for Drogo. Even though he's got a relatively big army, I feel this is like that in-between phase where the Terran army is just a little bit better than the Protoss army.
Yep, that is a lot of freedom there. Throws that Disco Ball, not getting a whole lot with it. The Disruptors getting underneath, but here are the Tempests. These guys need to get to work. That's a lot of Liberators to chew through, though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Polt steams forward, obviously he has to worry about these Disruptors. He actually unsieges all of them almost immediately. Now Drogo's going to chase down this army. The Liberator count is so high, though. I'm not sure if you want to shade on top of this army, Drogo.
You got to be careful. Another Widowmine hits on the front of this. The Tempest are actually kind of overextended here. Throws the Disruptor shot out and clips the very end of it. The Tempests stay alive, though. Those incredibly expensive, important Tempests, as I think another 2 have just finished from those Stargates. So getting the rest of the forces together is Drogo. He holds off the first push from these ranged Liberators.
That was very, very important. He keeps that fort base alive, didn't end up losing any Tempests or Liberators. He does have no idea, I believe, about this army that's running on the right side of this map. Well, this is going to be rough. He needs a couple of units to deal with this.
Oh, goodness. All these Liberators start to siege up from afar. The Tempest keep popping those shots. There we go. Some overcharged pylon trying to break this army down, but that's a lot of Marauders. And this army, I don't know if he's looking at this. He's just going to eat these freedom shots so hard all over his forces. The Liberators wrecking through Drogo's defenses.
Awesome play here by Polt. And he actually picked up a couple of these units as well. He's going to try to redrop them in a natural. At the same time, he's hitting the fort base. Polt is playing awesome so far in Frozen Temple, showing excellent army control.
This is an insane amount of Liberator damage that's being doled out. The fourth base is knocked down. Polt in a nice, comfortable supply lead, pushing back. He's got his fourth done. The recall into the main to deal with this drop that's going to kill one of the Stargates. The Stargate tech's so important for helping to stop this Liberator madness. And now Vikings are on the way to finish off the Tempest.
And that medevac even gets out of there. 2-2 upgrades are on the way as well for Polt. And Polt obviously realizing, like, hey, if you recalled everything to the main, I may actually be able to get myself in a pretty decent spot on your third base as well.
Yep, there's too many Liberators in these Tempests to kill in time. Disruptor Ball goes out, not hitting a whole lot. And the Liberators are ripping this army to pieces, destroying the third base. Pylons are going to overcharge, but I don't think it's going to be enough to prevent this base from being knocked down.
Both players actually very rich at this point. Obviously, it's becoming a very intense game, but another Nexus snipe for Polt. Drogo now barely mining, as obviously the main and the natural 12 minutes into a game of Legacy of the Void are pretty much empty. So Polt knows that time right now is on his side and he doesn't have to sweat all that much, building 5 Vikings at a time, while Drogo actually starts up a Colossus. If I was this Colossus Nate, I'd say, nope, send me back to Ire. I ain't doing this.
Don't warp me in. It's like 99%. It's like, cancel. Yeah. Please.
It's like that cardboard animation Colossus, you know? It's like,
yeah. Preston was like, get me out of here. There's a lot of Vikings and Liberators. This isn't a safe space. So Ghost Academy is coming out, and that is going to just, I mean, EMP is just good against everything Protoss has, so there's really no negative to that.
I'm going to put that on my soundboard. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, EMP is good against every Protoss unit. They all have shields, Kev, so. More Adepts coming in, +3 armor, +2 attack. I mean, I think Polt's army is, once Terran reaches this composition, considering that Drogo is having a hard time maxing out, like, this is almost unbeatable with a maxed out army. Like, this many Liberators with Viking support, you need Storm and you need to be maxed if you're Drogo to fight this.
I mean, Drogo obviously does still have a chance, Nate. I mean, he's down 28 army supply, but that's not the end of the world. He does have 7 Tempests, but I do agree that he needs something that actually splashes, because right now there's nothing really that
Nothing to kill the Vikings, right?
Nothing has high DPS.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like 8 Stalkers. That's not even enough. Oh my god, yeah, okay, this army is ridiculous from Polt.
Stopping this, I don't see that happening. The Liberators are going to siege up. Whoa. He's going to force this army back. GG, Polt goes 1-2 now, taking his first blood in this series.
And even though Polt misread the situation a little bit early on, where he threw up missile turrets, where he threw up a bunker, because he wasn't exactly sure what he was playing against, that was a pretty flawless victory in the end, Nate. The moment that the armies truly started clashing, the moment that Polt had 3 bases up and running, over 60 SCVs, he just made better choices. He just made better decisions. There's no other way to put it.
Yep, Polt playing a phenomenal game there, showing a little bit of that prowess. And also, I have to say, Drogo had a good spot, and he ate a lot of Widowmine shots in a phase where it looked like he was powering up to go for an attack, and then he's like, oh, I guess I can't do that, so let me just start resonating limbs and a bunch of other things. But it seemed like he had something going there, and then his momentum was completely crushed by, what, you said he lost like 3-4 Stalkers, those mines?
Yeah, that wasn't really going that well. I don't think that's where it spiraled out of control. I mean, he made the Warp Prism as well, that also did nothing.
Right.
But I think the moment he went up to 4 bases, then tried to tag into Tempest and get Disruptors, I think all at the same time, was maybe a little ambitious. I felt his early game, his start was good, he had an economic advantage. I would have loved to see Drogo push the pace of the game a little bit, you know, while he's on 3 bases, way before Polt. You know, you have all these gateways, do something with it, you know, like start some Adept madness. I mean, you casted that one game in the King of the Hill where I think it was Deer, right, who killed like 40 SCVs against Polt. Was it right on King Sejong?
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Like, if you have that many gateways and if you have the tempo on your side because you're richer early on, because you expand faster, I kind of felt that Drogo gave too much time to Polt for Polt just to do whatever he wanted to do.
Yep, and this was the very first moment where you started to see Drogo falter a bit here, and he ate a lot of those mine shots.
Look at the work account in this phase in the game, Nate. It's 61 probes against 43 SCVs. If this moment Drogo does nothing but produce gateway units, I think he's able to do some serious damage, and he's going to make it a very, very difficult game for Polt.
Yeah,
because he doesn't even have to take good trades, right? He can just trade wherever he wants because he's mining so much more.
Yeah, that's it's a really weird situation to have happen that he was so far ahead in that position, but we'll have to see if he can recover here as he's still one map win away from beating this man in the top left, the red Terran player representing NBS. He is Polt.
Definitely made a couple of comebacks in his career, though, Nate.
If there's anybody who's known for it, it is him. As he faces off against this man. One map win away from the semifinals. Can he do it? Give it up for PtitDrogo!
Pretty awesome run so far for Drogo, for Polt. Not a lot of people have been talking about Polt yet, as in all fairness, this was a pretty easy bracket for Polt. And once again, it is never easy, but it could have been so much worse. As he got Tootming in the round of 16, I believe, and in the round of 32 he got shut down. Excellent players, but still a little bit new to this stage, you know, to tournaments of this format.
Not players the caliber that we talk about, you know, winning these sort of tournaments by any means. So definitely a much better draw than having to play True, for example, who has been a very scary player in the StarCraft 2 tournament.
I mean, he still hasn't lost a map. I mean, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah, considering the shakiness that we've actually seen out of Polt in this series, at least, that suddenly makes you wonder, you know.
That moment when True has lost more maps on Cheeseadelphia than WCS.
Yeah, who's that? No regret Ling attacks? Or
NA, man. Don't underestimate NA.
The power of NA. So Command Center is going to boot up after the Reaper is about halfway done. So very standard, straightforward opening out of Polt. And looks like Drogo's not doing anything super crazy himself.
Cybercore halfway down. I mean, this is such a large, long map, right?
Yeah. If you want to attack the other guy, I mean, check your passport, get ready to go. Long flight. Bring your, put a movie on that warp prism, you know.
Sometimes you see some proxies here or some crazy aggressive play. Yep. There's a lot of Terrans who hope that the Protoss take that gold base in a phase in the game where they can't really deal with tanks or liberators, and then they can punish that.
It's also funny to consider that what the effect the gold base has, because not only is it in a vulnerable spot, it's also just closer to where your base is. Like, this map is so long, every advantage that you give if you expand towards your enemy, which that gold base does, helps a lot.
Now, I saw the end of Polt against Shadowne. It wasn't a series that we did on the mainstream, so I couldn't catch everything, as I believe I was casting before, but I did see the end of this game, and what I saw Shadowne do is just make a lot of gateway units. I think he had Blink Stalkers, a couple of sentries, and a crazy amount of adepts on 3 bases, and he just attacked Polt on 3 bases, and I'm not, you know, maybe one robotics facility, but no forges whatsoever, no other crazy tech, no fort base, just an insane amount of gateway units. And I think something like that, I wouldn't be too surprised if Drogo tries to do the same thing. Obviously, as a French Protoss, you talk with the other French Protoss that is at this tournament.
Yeah, share the secrets, the weaknesses of your opponents. I mean, I guess that's the closest you get to being on the same team, right? In the same country. As the Robotics Facility and the Twilight Council finish up. So the standard here is what? Blink with Observer, but he could go for some Glaive Prism action.
I would say that you're right there. I mean, having an early War Prism definitely helps on a map as large as this, especially if Polt decides to run across the map with his bio units. They could be very far out of position, but for now it's just going to be Observers. And indeed, Blink. Expecting this to be defensive Blink. What I really wonder about is where Drogo is going to go up to 3 bases. If he's going to try and take this gold, and if he sees some crazy mid-game aggression, or if he's just going to take the more passive third and maybe try to sing this one out.
Yeah, I mean, the Reaper already working on those rocks is him saying, like, okay, if you want to take that gold base, I'm going to have the opportunity to a little bit more easily cut you off with either a later attack or, you know, he doesn't want, obviously, Drogo to have the extra income that gold base provides in the early game, or at least the more easily saturated base, I guess, is the technical way of looking at it.
Does take the gold, Nate.
All right, well, that's a good bit of cash money that he's going to be able to get access to very quickly, as Stimpack is only just now starting with 3 Marines being built at a time. The Observers are coming out. Blink is about halfway done. And Polt knows. He understands what's going on here. So what I'm curious is if he was so intent on putting pressure for him to take the other base, is he going to try to do anything special to punish this? Are we going to see, I like Widow Mines in the low ground, I like Siege Tanks on the low ground, and I like Liberators. This isn't just bio play. You can really synergize with your other Terran factory units in this spot.
I couldn't agree more, Nate. I really don't think there is an option to punish that gold base with just Marines and Marauders. Once again, the map is simply too large, too long for that. By the time they arrive, Protoss will have enough gateway units to deal with it, and then it's pretty much all over if you're not on 3 bases yourself. I don't think you can truly do something about it unless you got Liberators. Drogo is not following the footsteps of Shadowne, and he's actually throwing down 2 forges.
So it seems like he wants to try to play a little bit of the longer side game then in that case. I mean, it's going to take a while for the power of the Forges to really kick in a big way. So maybe he's relying on the length of this map to make it easier for him to defend in another reactor there. So I'm wondering if what exactly his setup is going to look like.
There is another command center being built on the gold as well. The Reaper being annoying. The Reaper actually being very useful there, not to work on that probe, but just to see where these stalkers are. That's all that Polt wants to accomplish. It's so risky, by the way, what Polt is doing, but he did see where the stalkers were.
The observer, he sees.
I thought he was going to go for the main.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to boost right past. Maybe he was scared that the stalkers were closer than he expected, but that is a lot of stalkers. He's going to come out here, poke away. He's stimming, actually runs away, and well, this is really awkward and uncomfortable because if he loads up into the medevac, those stalkers will blink and chase. That mine gets a decent shot off on the forces, but there's a lot here. He's going to load up. There he goes, blinks, and one medevac knockdown.
I mean, Drogo just having enough units to deal with this and can't be too surprised. I mean, once again, it just takes such a long time for these medevacs to make their way across the map that most of the time Protoss just has a few more units than they would have on a map like, let's say, Frozen Temple or anything that's just a little bit smaller, even King Sejong and stuff like that. Now, Polt is still going to go up to 3 bases as well. He's only down 3 SCVs, so that's not all that bad. Resonating Glaives being researched and a lot of gateways going down.
What is up with Drogo only having one building powering everything? Like, in his natural, there's like one pylon on all these gates. In his main, there's one pylon on his Forge and his Robo and his Twilight. Like, mate, build some more pylons.
It's a Protoss thing, Ned, what can I say? I mean, obviously, the upside of this is that he has his pylons very well spread out, which means it's going to be hard to drop him because he's going to be able to photon overcharge pretty much the entire main base. But yeah, the big downside of it that you are working with Artosis pylons. And
that's true. I mean, Artosis is good, but sometimes there are risks involved. We have 1-1 finishing up now for Drogo as Resonating Glaives comes closer, and the Liberator count continues to rise. There's the Fusion Core.
I mean, he's wiping in a lot of adapts. I think he's really going to try to put on some serious pressure. Polt needs to maybe get a little bit of a SimCity going here or just have one bunker, because Polt should know that there is a good chance that there will be nothing but gateway units from this point on, and that Drogo is going to try to break Polt over here. I mean, Drogo is pretty much, I wouldn't necessarily say all in, because he does have 3 bases, but he is not tacking up behind this. He wants to win the game with this attack, Nate.
Yep, this really big Resonating Glaives 1-1 push. Of course, the +1 attack is so crucial for those adepts to be able to get the extra damage and 2-shot the Marines.
Does Polt see this?
See what he can do. Some adepts going back into the natural expansion. They are going to be able to shade into the main, it looks like. Another wave of adepts warping in outside of that gold.
The sensor tower has spotted this a while ago. He's just chasing the first adept. These adepts are going to shade behind the army. Stalker's going to blink right into these Liberators.
And he's going to go right on top of him. There we have the adepts teleporting in on top of the bio. The SCVs immediately being pulled with those Liberators, absolutely shrekking the Stalkers. It's just the adepts to fight against this. They do clean up the majority of the SCVs, already throwing their teleports over to the natural. The Liberators desperately need to reposition in this fight before the adepts finish off the rest of his economy. And there they are, coming in now, nowhere to run.
Can go into the main base.
They have to shade, but the depots are closed.
I mean, not a single Liberator is actually covering that ramp though, so they could potentially chill there for a while. The Orbital's taking a lot of damage and is most likely going to fall. That's a massive pickoff for Drogo.
Drogo cutting the head off of Polt's economy. That Warp Prism still in play. 10 more adepts being warped in, and that is going to allow him to go for another big push.
Starts 2-2 during all of this, realizing that, okay, I picked off the Orbital, so maybe I don't have to win the game here immediately. This was already pretty good. Let's not throw away 100 gateway units. He's still going to blink in though. All these liberation zones. I'm not sure about this one, Nate.
Yeah, I think this is a bit risky. You know, to be perfectly honest, Kev, if I see a tech lab like that, or I imagine a Protoss sees a tech lab like that, shoot the tech lab. Don't dive on the Liberators. That's the most important upgrade in the whole entire game for Terran versus Protoss.
Okay, so, oh my god, look at the army supplies. 54 against 9. Yeah, that last blink shade was not a great idea.
I don't know, mate.
No, mate. Let's not do that one again. But he does have a great economy. He does have 4 bases soon up and running. He does have 2-2 on the way, and he does have 10 gateways, so you can wipe in plenty of units. Polt, it's hard to realize. Like, if you're Polt right now, right? Like, should I run across the map? Do I have enough? Like, did he really lose that much? If Polt would see what we see as observers, he'd be like, oh my god, you've got 9 army supply. Let's go. Grab everything.
To the metal.
Yeah.
And a Dark Shrine is on the way. Also a great idea when you consider, you lose orbitals, you want to mule harder because your economy is hurt. That means not as many scans. It also helps for defending on the Protoss side of things. But Liberator range is finishing up. That gold base is going to be taken once again. And Drogo, I feel like with this range upgrade finishing, you should not be attacking with these small forces if you can help it.
Gateway units are awesome, but they do have an expiration date, and that's pretty much now. When it's like 7, 8, 9 Liberators with advanced ballistics, yeah, that's when you need something else, you know, or at least try to contain your opponent. Like, you don't have to attack into him. There's a world of difference on whether these Liberators have to attack into the Gateway units or the Gateway units go past the Liberators that are already set up. It just changes everything.
Yep, that Dark Shrine's going to finish up. The Stargate is ready, so Fleet Beacon and 2 more Stargates immediately here for Drogo as Polt secures this gold base once again, drops the Mule Hammer. He's going to rebuild that sensor tower. And now I start to wonder, as the Dark Shrine finishes, is there detection? If there is, where is it? Are we going to see the DTs used to harass here?
I like the Dark Templars, not necessarily because I think they're going to do tremendous amount of damage, but they will buy time, and time is what Drogo obviously needs, because if you look at the army supplies, Polt is still more than doubling the army supply of Drogo. That's ridiculous. That's not supposed to happen, because when you look at this game, you have the feeling that Drogo is dominating. Drogo is winning this, right?
Yeah,
well,
he's saving a lot of his money, though, to put it into the Tempest. And
but he doesn't have that much gas, Nate.
Yeah, I do definitely agree there. So a lot of it, I guess, just comes down to the fact that he attacked into Liberators early on, which is always a bit of a questionable move. And he sees, oh, your main's floating over to the southwest base. Okay.
Is there still a prism? There is, right?
Last I checked,
Yep.
yeah. 2 depths and a stalker inside of it. No usage of the DTs yet, so I think you're spot on the ball there, Kev. He's holding on to them for defensive play.
Yep. And then eventually could use them as well the moment that Polt starts moving out, and if Drogo feels like, I need a little bit more time, you know, I'm not that happy. Oh, Oracle, gotta be careful with that one. It's an expensive unit, and he doesn't have that much gas, so you don't want to lose the Oracle. Attacks a couple of the Marauders. This is a big army, Nate. It's still 116 supply. Forward blink, that's a little eager, I think.
Now these Liberators, look at how far they can set up these freedom zones with this much range, Kev.
Oh, the pylon! Okay, he does have a pylon on the right side now.
He's got half the pylons backed up. Some redundancy, but...
It's a lazy, tasteless pylon.
I don't want to go all the way out there. Just cover half of them.
Okay, so we've got a couple of Tempests. Is that enough to keep this Terran army at bay?
I think the Tempest count is getting a little too high here for this army to deal with, mate. There's not a lot of Tempests, and honestly, without the Oracle able to get the money Revelate, he's like basically cut him in half. He's like, all right, you want to defend that base? That's fine. I'm going to kill your gold. I still have that giant army outside of your natural expansion, and these Tempests cannot kill the Liberators fast enough. He doesn't even need to kill the Tempest, because by the time he does, it won't matter.
Is this 2012 Polt that we're watching down 0-2 in a series? Is he really going to even it up, even after losing his 3rd place in Game 4? I mean, it's starting to look like that a little bit, even though the Tempest count is high now. But there are still bio units, I believe, in the natural as well. Forced out a Photon Overcharge, a couple of Adepts dealing with it. So far, pretty decent hold by Drogo, but the army supply is still in favor of Polt.
Ooh, the Oracle just died there as well. No chance to get a Revelate. The Bio's going to chase straight into these Tempests, getting everything that they can done against this army. None of the DT Shrine was actually never used in this game, it seems, so this army getting chased back. Not a lot of opportunity to push it. However, the Immortal and Stalker coming from the side. Very scrappy fights.
Medevac's pretty much out of energy, Nate. Maybe that's why Polt is disengaging. I mean, he does have 2 Medevacs here, but these are not part of the army. He start making 3 Vikings at once. He took out a couple of probes, right? They have 56 probes. Well, I don't know. That's interesting. Good hold by Drogo, though. Gotta give credit to that one. Without Disruptors, without Storm, that wasn't easy.
He didn't lose the Gold Nexus either. That's actually really weird. So great hold there, and he can always try to go for that bottom left base, actually, now that I think about it, since it is the furthest away.
Okay, now since he's mining so much gas, he has so many assimilators, I would love to see a Templar Archives being thrown down. Instead, he throws down 6 sentries. I mean, that's a way to get rid of your gas, but...
Guardian Shield is nice. Is it that
Dark Templars?
Nice?
No.
Yeah, okay, 2 DTs are being morphed in
he's
somewhere.
swapping in Dark Templars now, yeah.
Okay, so these Adepts are going to get some work done on the left side base. Where are the DTs going? Where were they made? Okay, at home.
Defensively.
Okay.
All
right.
I mean, he does have a War Prism, but I'm still a little bit worried. Whenever Drogo runs across the map with slow units like Sentries, Immortals, Stampers, the moment that you send them across the map on a map like this, you're pretty much committed. And without Storm, without Disruptors, while you got so many bases going for yourself, I always ask myself, you know, do you really have to do this?
Yeah, especially consider how without slow that army is running away is very difficult as well. And he's just going to come right up on top of them.
I think Polt is going to scan this and be like, well,
what are you doing, mate? I'll just attack you with everything I have. Like, did you really think that this was going to accomplish something here? I mean, maybe the Stalkers will try to take out a few of the Vikings, but that Tempest count is very hard to replace.
Yeah, I think Polt should disengage with these Vikings for now. He got a little too ahead of himself there as well. I do like this by Drogo.
Yeah, this is very nice. I still think that any moment now would have been a great time to throw a couple DTs in any of these bases. He hasn't shown them at all yet. Now he's going to see them on the attack, but there's a scan. Immediately pops them off, no problemo. And he doesn't have enough pylons here to overcharge enough to stop the bio attack.
So instead, Polt is going to run towards his gold base. That's pretty much mine. I mean, there's really no surprise. He does take care of the Nexus, but I mean, there were no minerals left, so I don't think Drogo is going to be too upset about it. Loses some chrono
the gas.
ability.
I mean, the gas would always be nice to keep.
Yeah,
but there we go. We finally see a little bit of the DT action here. I love that. Shift click them onto the SCVs. Got the economy. Look at that. He like scans. He stems like, where'd he go? I would play in the Nova missions.
I would still love to see a Templar Archives or this or a couple of Disruptors. I mean, Drogo's definitely doing a good job in the last few minutes. I'm very impressed by the way that he's playing.
3-3 is going to be really sick. That's one thing I think we haven't really talked about. A lot of these engagements seem to be kind of weird because Drogo's upgrades are actually really sick when fighting against the Marines with his gateway forces because they have so much armor. But those Tempests getting caught feels bad, man.
Liberators still don't care that much about upgrades, but you make a very valid point there. Just Marines and Marauders are going to have an extremely hard time. That's why perhaps dropping and Rombais are not going to be too successful, because if you wipe in 6 Adepts with 3-3 upgrades, well, you don't have to look anymore because you know you're going to win that fight.
5 DTs being warped. Is he getting Archons or is he just crazy?
He's just crazy. Okay. No, he's getting Archons.
Right.
And he's crazy, Nathan.
I'm both. Okay, well, that's fair.
Again, I don't know.
All right,
it's crazy to see Drogo being this aggressive. I really feel that like the game is like almost his to lose. He has much better upgrades. He could potentially end the game here, and then of course, I mean, maybe he just wants to get it over with.
I mean, 3-3 versus 1-1 is very nice, but the Liberators are. Yeah. I mean, the Liberators are the army, honestly, for Polt. Like that is what is going to give Polt the opportunity to win this game. The Liberators with the support of the Vikings. He needs desperately an Oracle to tag this army.
Yep, that would make it so much nicer if you got 5, 6, 7 Tempests. Adepts are gonna shade around. I don't think there's a whole lot protecting that base on the left side, so that's very well done. I mean, Drogo has been excellent when it comes to harassing Polt left and right.
The whole army repositioning as Drogo makes a move on the northeast base.
Well,
that planetary fortress under fire now, Roddy. The DT adding in a lot of extra damage to this. The SCV repair is not going to be enough. Force fields them off so that they cannot fix it. And, well, great base shutdown. The attack is coming now. Drogo working in a couple of Adepts and 2 Dark Templar to help defend against this. The Adepts on the left side are going to be able to shade out. There's the scan. Great morph. Denying the snipe on the DTs, buying himself just a little bit more time defensively.
I'm getting a little upset that Polt is not taking care of that pylon. I mean, instead he's fighting like 47 gateway units. He's going to try to deal with these Adepts. Has lost 18 SCVs in the process. This pylon has been doing guts work. Another Dark Templar will show up. Instead of a pylon, he killed 2 gateways, Nate.
Yeah, burning out all of the skins while that one Marine finishes off a high-energy Mothership Core. But 22 SCVs died in that last little bout. 25 workers on the map for Polt.
I mean, even though, oh, that's nice. He's knocked down the rock. More units being wiped in. I mean, he just keeps fighting this. But this is what we mentioned, by the way, with the upgrades. I guess Stalkers against
This is a scenario where if you had Charge, Zealots would be pretty dope with the upgrade advantage versus Bio in this scenario.
Drop.
Nice!
Drogo has quite a bit of money now. It seems like he's struggling to spend it. He did lose a couple of gateways. I feel like Drogo is playing awesome. I feel like he's just not exactly sure on how he wants to close this game out. How does he want to win it? What is the finishing touch?
I'm not really sure at this point. Like, Polt will slowly even things out. Like, he's got his 2-2 now, so that's going to make his bio trade a little bit better.
I still like Polt's army better as well.
The magic unit still is on the map, the Liberator. That is the #1 unit in this game that is going to decide the outcome. If you kill the Liberators, you win. If the Liberators kill you, well, obviously you're dead.
Polt is going to try to go for this base. It's a very important base to snipe, and he should be able to get it as Drogo's already evacuating all of the probes.
Those Archons can actually get underneath the Liberators here a little bit. Kind of a weird, cheeky positioning as the Nexus still stands, and he's going to get a couple shots off. These Liberators are so important. They're clumped up against the Archons, taking an incredible amount of full damage from that Protoss army.
But there is just no DPS in this Protoss army, Nate. There's no Storm, there's no Disruptors, no Colossus. Makes it so hard to deal with these stimmed bio units. Good repositioning on the Liberators. The Vikings doing one hell of a job as well. And Drogo's in a lot of trouble. He's still got 1,300 minerals in the bank, but it seems like he can't spend them.
Yeah, another force is going to roll up here. He's finally cleaned out the Liberators, but he needs that ground army again now to deal with the Marine Marauder. But Polt has 4 more Liberators on the way. He's got the supply still. Even with 17 SCVs, he's making the dream happen, Roddy.
Drogo whopping in another Dark Templar, 6, 7 Adepts. I mean, it's an amazing game by Polt because because again, this one didn't start out all that good. Just like Frozen Temple, Nate didn't
Yep.
start off all that good, but he clawed his way back into it. He's putting up one hell of a fight, showing us why he has won 4 WCS tournaments in the past.
He's going to do a citizen's arrest on this Marine, tased to death. As another Nexus boots up for Drogo. I'm actually really surprised that he's just decided not to take the bottom left at all, because he's just been attacking his opponent so much. But Polt still has the Viking count intact, very important. And I guess the more I don't mind the DTs being used, because it is going to keep forcing the scans out. And Polt has very few SCVs, down to 13 now.
How many SCVs did Drogo kill in this game? 84. All right.
That's a lot of SCVs. Yeah, I would wager.
But for some reason, Polt still has a bigger army. I mean, he only has 11 SCVs. I mean, this is actually where it gets pretty drastic. Maybe it's time for Polt right now to stop respecting the army that Drogo has. And I look at you, Nate, should we even really call it an army? At the same time, Drogo starts attacking Polt. Polt only has 11 SCVs, and he's like, thank you.
I mean, these +2 Marauders should be able to do a lot of work against this. The Liberators get some great shots off, and Drogo's army is once again taking an absolute pummeling. There is no backbone here. The Vikings are going to land. He's ready to battle this force, but Drogo, he needs to retreat. This army just isn't very well prepared to deal with Marauders at the moment, and they are being a nightmare for the Protoss.
Absolutely. He's getting a couple of sentries. The first Immortals on the way now as well. Drogo has spent his bank, so he can't really do the same thing twice again. I mean, that was decent, but once again, you got to ask yourself, do I really have to attack and Terran that's on 11 SCVs? Obviously, there are mules, but I mean, Drogo is down in army, and he just didn't have that much to work with. But he did pick off a couple of very important units, and right now, Polt is not in a position to replace any units that he's losing. I do think the game is getting closer and closer again.
Yeah, the most important thing is picking off the Liberators, but, you know, as Polt encroaches this base, now he doesn't have to move around unsieged. He can just hop, skip, and jump forward with one Liberator at a time, and honestly, I don't think that Drogo can engage this army. There's way too much here. He's going to try to blade straight through. Targets down one of the Liberators, but the Marauders are going to focus fire down on these Stalkers. He kills another Liberator, but there's still too much anti-ground. GG! Polt ties this series and an amazing game number 4.
Wow, what a game by Polt. What a game, Nate. So cool, so back and forth. Lost his third base, going up against the Protoss. It was way ahead in upgrades. A lot of Terrans would have waved the white flag there and said, okay, it's enough. Enough SCVs and Marines have fallen, you know, I give up. Not this man. He fights his way back into the game. A sick performance by Polt.
Absolutely crazy game. And I want to go back and ask you, Kev, you're the expert on this. This is a situation where I felt it would have been very useful in these scenarios where he's dealing with these attacks. The Adepts just didn't have the damage output, and they couldn't take advantage of the upgrade advantage enough. I feel like Charged Zealots to help deal with all these fights going on would have been good, and they can also get through the liberation zones before they set up.
Absolutely. I think there was definitely a time and a phase for Zealots, but I think even more importantly, if you have that many Tempests, if you have that much of an economic advantage, I feel it's all about having some sort of splash damage, right? Like Storm. Having Disruptors or Storm even better, because it connects with the Liberators and the Vikings as well. I mean, we've seen Knee play in the past. He gets cannons and pylons everywhere. Then you tag the Terran army with Revelation, and that's where the Tempests shine, you know? That's the true power of the Tempests. Tempests are not that unit that you have a couple of them.
All right,
and
let's move across the map and snipe his gold base.
Yeah, they're like relatively naked. I mean, yeah, they're still useful. They still have decent burst damage, but that's about it. Like, you need something very powerful that makes it so hard to engage into these Tempests, and most of the time there wasn't really anything. Like, Polt could just, cool, Tempest, well, let's just grab all my units and go for it. And I think that was an even bigger mistake than perhaps not having charge.
Yeah, there's quite a few different things, I guess, that could have really changed that game. I do want to stress for any Terran players out there, you're wondering what was the most important thing, or the most important thing. Liberator range is so important for being able to take these sort of fights. And even these engagements are ridiculous. Like, this is where Drogo, I mean, I almost feel like he ended the game, but just couldn't finish it against the Liberator army. Like, and the most important thing, like, during all of this fights is he also makes that big risky blink in later on.
Yeah.
And he could have killed the tech lab that was researching lib range and delayed that even more.
I want to give a big shout out as well why he raises the depots. You see that? That's so important, because now he doesn't have to worry about his production. He doesn't have to worry about the SCVs in the main base. Like, losing 18, 19 SCVs in the third base, yeah, that's already really bad. But if you lose 35 in your third base, that's where it's absolutely GG. Game over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, time to find out who is moving on and who's going home. In the bottom left of Galactic Process, we have Polt. What a sick series we've had so far, man. Absolutely nuts. And to think we have another amazing one coming up after this.
I'm loving it, Nate. Over here on the right top side, excuse me, we're looking at the main base of our French Protoss representing my insanity. Give it up for Drogo. Looked very pumped after game 2. Definitely looked like he was having the time of his life. Great. Looks a little more frustrated and almost defeated now. Probably realizing that both in game 3 and game 4, Nate, he had a phenomenal start.
Yeah, this has been a series where we've seen Polt recover from the awkwardness at the beginning of these games, but especially Drogo. I mean, it's hard to say that where the biggest mistakes pop in. I do agree with you. AOE is extremely important. Even when you have that upgrade advantage, like unless it's 3-3 versus 1-1.
Yeah.
I've seen your infamous video, Roddy. you A moving 30 zealots through almost maxed army because they had no upgrades. Protoss upgrades are a very important thing to have in this matchup, but they haven't been as relevant in Legacy of the Void simply because, as you stated earlier as well, the Liberator ignores them. Liberators do ridiculous amounts of damage. They two-shot pretty much every single gateway unit. Actually, they do two-shot every single gateway unit. They wreck them super hard. The upgrades, as nice as they can be, it's more about having some AoE to clean up the support units for those Liberators. If those Vikings aren't picking off all of those Tempests, then suddenly you have a lot more that you can work with because they can finally shoot the Liberators themselves.
I do think we saw a little bit of nerves as well in that series. I mean, a couple of times Drogo's money was just too high. I mean, even Polt's money was high, and I mean, that says enough about how intense and action-packed that game was. But there were just multiple moments where if Drogo would have been able to spend those 16, 17, 1800 minerals he had in the bank, it could have been different. I think there was also still an opportunity for War Prisms to be much more of a threat. I mean, Drogo was so much richer, he had so many more bases that you want to see a Prism appear in the main base, you know, and just warp in 7, 8, 9 adepts and just do a lot of damage. He just got a little perhaps too excited when he was so close to winning.
Polt pulling a little bit of a TY here. He's going to half build an engineering bay in his opponent's mineral line. Okay.
I've always had mixed feelings about this one.
I really don't know what to think about it. Like, obviously, there's like the benefit of you've blocked these 3 mineral patches.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of probes here yet to the point where it hurts the saturation too much. If they transfer probes, then I guess like it would stop them from doing that. But
yeah, and the one thing it does do is it forces the adept and then potentially a quicker mothership core.
That's true. You can't just build probes and move out on the map.
Okay, so this is nice. Now the Reaper finds an exposed main base. We'll be able to pick off 1 probe immediately. If he gets 2 probes, that would be awesome for Polt. Yeah, he wants to go in, and he does get 2. Wow, does he even get out?
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Smooth criminal.
All right, the eBay was worth it, Nate. Who are we?
okay. In this situation, now I can really see it. Now he's past that half saturation mark, and he's like, I'd like to mine my minerals, please. That Oracle is coming out.
Did the Reaper actually see this target as well? Yeah, it does, right? It went in pretty deep, so Polt must know about it. I mean, that's great. He gets 2 probes, and he knows indeed about the Stargate.
Yep, Widow Mine is on the way, so you can put the mine in one mineral line and the Marines in the other. And maybe he'll start another engineering base soon inside of his main base this time, of course.
Pretty interesting that Drogo is still 7 workers ahead, considering the fact that he lost 2 workers, and he even got eBay block. I mean, eBay blocks are not cheap. Obviously, it slows you down a little bit as well if you're Polt.
Yeah. The Reaper is still alive, though. Interesting to note. He's going to be checking. He's like, okay, mate, you taking that fast third base? When's it coming? When's the third base coming? Probe is on the way there now, though, as the Adepts roll up. So it looks like Drogo will try to grab that soon. Let's see what the Oracle can get done.
We know there's a Widow Mine in that main base. Flo already showed us. This is going to be very risky. It's so important for Drogo that he keeps this Oracle alive. Okay, he's very careful with it. I like it.
Extremely risky.
Now, if there's an exposed mineral line, it's a trap. Polt is too good to leave his mineral line exposed. And it seems like Drogo knows that. Very well done. I love the respect that Drogo showed there.
The most dangerous mineral line is the one that has nothing in it at all.
Absolutely.
So that third base is on the way. I think the Reaper just confirmed that as well. So now he knows. He can safely say, oh, okay. That's I guess that's the side effect. He didn't...
Am I crazy or is Warp Gate late?
I was going to say, I feel like that Warp Gate's pretty late. He's like building units out of his gateway. Like, this isn't the Legacy of the Void campaign. What's going on here?
Perhaps started a little bit later. Drogo being supply blocked there as well. Has to wait until his Spinals finish up. Reaper is going to get another probe. That's very nice. He even forces these probes. Stop mining for a split second there. Double Oracle opening. Hasn't found a single opening yet, though. I mean, obviously, Oracles are not all about picking up SCVs, but what you do want to do, Nathan, this is something that you already mentioned twice this tournament that Terran Plays hate, is pick off those SCVs that are building those supply depots, that are building that refinery, building that starport, whatever they're building. Those are the easy targets.
It's very easy to forget those as well. Great tag on these metamax. Now he knows where these drops are going to be headed and if or when they arrive at his base. Third command center on the way at location for Polt. Actually, that tagged SCV is also going to show this for him, so he knows about that as well.
I mean, Polt's army is way stronger than Drogo's army, but not if he has to drop these units one by one, and the oracles are on top of it. One oracle does get picked up. What happened to the second oracle?
Actually, really great snipe.
Don't tell me he lost both.
Did he split him? Where'd the other oracle go? Is it still alive? Confirmation, it's dead.
Whoa,
Rip.
he lost both oracles.
Wow. That's pretty bad.
That's very expensive, Nate. Those 2 oracles did not kill a single SCV, I believe. I have no idea how that happened, but that's bad.
300 for a cheeky revelation, Ronnie.
Yeah, and I mean, now Polt is just going to wait. Obviously, he's not going to fly his Medivacs into these Protoss units, and now suddenly this hold becomes a little bit harder. 30 Protoss supply against 42. Drogo did have a Stalker there, excellent Stalker, just to scout and see where these Terran units are moving around.
Yep, he's got defensive cannons on the way, and this Tim Bio's like, you know what, man, let's go. Let's do this. These Marines get caught up, though. Only 2 of those men get saved.
4 force fields for 2 Marines, probably not worth it in the end there, but he did need to drop those force fields because Polt's army is simply stronger at the moment.
If Polt's army was able to get on top of that army that was just there a moment ago, that can be an extremely good trade for the Terran player.
So even though Drogo lost both oracles, he made it through this phase in the game without really taking critical amounts of damage. He's going to rebuild one of these oracles because he wants to have some sort of vision. The robotics facility is extremely late with this build, so if you take a look at Drogo's vision now, you can see that he has absolutely no idea what's happening. The only thing he had, or out on the map, the only thing he knows is that, well, you know, this adapt is keeping my ramp safe. That's about it.
Yep.
Which is why he's throwing down so many cannons as well. I mean, there's nothing more scary as a Protoss player as having no observers out on the map.
Yeah, that blind feeling of helplessness is extremely frustrating. The fusion core is on the way. Polt really sticking to his guns here. I like this. Considering the way that Terran vs. Protoss meta is right now with all the aggressive builds that a lot of the top players are doing, if you don't want to do that, you got to rely on the best unit in this matchup, and that is the Liberator. Going for that range this fast every game is definitely the right choice and the best choice if you're not getting some early damage done with those drops, which frankly Polt, he was not able to do. The most he got was killing those oracles.
Oh, there's another Widow Mine, and it connects with the Oracle again. That's number 3 going down in this game. And he's just getting too reckless, man. These are not mistakes that you're able to make. He's starting to drop the Fleet Beacon and the Robotics Bay again at the same time. Getting one Phoenix as well, perhaps worried about Liberator range harass. Wants to make sure that he has some sort of an air presence to deal with these Liberators, but Drogo definitely a little nervous here, Nate.
Yeah, I like how Polt doesn't focus on the upgrades as much. He prefers to wait and spend his gas on the 3 Liberators at a time, getting the Liberator range, knowing that those upgrades are more important at this stage of the game. But that Fleet Beacon is coming in. We have another Stargate, Disruptor Transition, and Resonating Glaives. But as you put it, he lost a lot of resources on the forces that he was trying to use to get his harassment and scouting done.
This is a smaller map though, so I must say it's a little bit easier for Tempest to be in the right position, to be more protected and also be aggressive at the same time than the previous map, which obviously was a lot larger. I mean, such a big game, Nate. The winner of this map will move on to the semifinals, secure themselves at least $10,000 in this tournament, and of course, still be in the running for so much more. And for Drogo, very, very important WCS points on the line.
Yes, those extremely coveted WCS points that quite a few players came here to get in this tournament, Kev, and were shut down very early on. So Scan sees the 4th base being taken. Tempests are coming out. Disruptors are coming out. Liberator range is almost done. And so is Resonating Glaives with the +1 here for PtitDrogo. So Polt is getting his combat shields a little bit late, but I mean, the Liberators are the crucial thing. How many Liberators do we have on the map? 3 are on the way, so we got 7. This is going to be an extremely large amount of damage output that this Terran army has, as long as he does not get caught off guard by Drogo.
I do like the 2 Disruptors we have. Just makes it a little bit harder for those Marines and Marauders to come close to the Tempest. And once again, it's just an easier map to have your Tempest in a good position here. There's a lot of ramps as well, less wide open area. A couple of Protoss units will get caught out of position. Polt has to be careful. Disruptor balls being shot will not connect with anything.
Yep, and that's both of them too, so the follow-up capability isn't really there. If Polt would have found an opportunity to dive on top of him, he didn't have another one. The Depths, though, slipping into the 3rd base. 8 SCVs picked out very quickly. 9 workers in total, and
he's not done yet.
His way to the natural.
Yep, picking off 2 more. But I think in this phase in the game, it's all right for Polt. I mean, he has his infrastructure well set up. He's soon to be on 4 bases. Having 55 SCVs is more than enough. Obviously, you don't want to drop into the 30s or 20s just yet. Very ambitious Widow Mine there.
Yeah, big dreams.
So let me just run into the middle of this Protoss army and then burrow.
Jesus, that's a lot of Liberators. Okay, well, he's got the Trail of Freedom streaming across this map, Kev, and he's going to pick off a lot of the units retreating. A Disruptor One throws out the energy ball, but not getting anything. He doesn't have enough to deal with this many Liberators again, and there's no Oracle for Revelation, so his ability to actually shoot these Liberators, good God, he's covering the map.
Wow, Polt is getting so close to this fort base, and there are no pylons here protecting this fort base, well, just one. So there's a good chance that Polt's going to be able to pick it off here. I'm not sure if this is going to be like the end or the final fight, but just picking off the fort base would already be a very, very big pick-off.
I don't know what to say. There's too many Liberators. Like, he doesn't have the army that can deal with this. He doesn't have anything that can stop this. Polt getting a phenomenal pick-off, doing an insane amount of damage, and at the same time, keeping his Liberator count intact.
I must say, though, it's very nice by Drogo. Instead of taking a horrible fight in those liberation zones, he made a very mature call there in losing the fort base, but keeping his most important units alive and waiting for a better engagement.
Yeah, it is important to note that for all the damage he did, Polt is only just now securing his fourth base, so he doesn't have it ready as early, and he's going to play with the high ground here against these Liberators. We don't have the Viking count that we had in the previous game, but there's the Freedom. It's starting to ring, and these Liberators getting ready to do a lot of damage. You need to be extremely careful, Drogo.
I mean, Drogo is getting phenomenal trades donated in the last minute of this game. I mean, we had like 10, 11 Liberators. I don't know how many we have now, but not all that many anymore. Polt realizing like, hey, this is not that nice. I've got 6 Tempests chipping away at my army. I've lost a few too many units, so he's going to try to drop. Obviously, Tempests are great, you know, just shooting from afar. They're not very good and useful in dealing with drops, as they are so slow.
So I still wonder, back to what you were talking about in the last game, if that AoE is something that he's going to mix in a bit more. He does still have a few disruptors, but those are obviously a little bit more hit or miss, quite literally, than something like Psionic Storm.
He's got a couple of cannons here and a very lonely Colossus. And he's going to drop the Templar Archives this game as well. He has retaken his fort base. I believe it pretty much has finished up. He's dropping cannons. I like this a lot more. I think Drogo's playing a lot better on this map than he did on the previous one.
Yes, for sure. This is a much better setup overall, and the trades have been better. He didn't get blindsided by all those Vikings the first time that he fight against the Liberators. The Revelation on the Liberators themselves, of course, I think is still a little bit more important. You need to be able to hit those Liberators. If the bio's close enough for them to reveal them too, I guess that's always nice, but the Disruptor count, or excuse me, the Tempest count has gotten extremely high.
What I would love to see from Drogo is get a couple of pylons in the middle of the map with a couple of cannons there. Just make it so much harder for the Terran to get close to the Tempest and at the same time still be able to defend at home, because he can leave a few more units at home. We do see him bringing back these Adepts. Polt is taking a very awkward run. Nate, this army is starting to be a little bit trapped. Imagine if these Disruptors go via the south side.
He's kind of boxing himself in here. He's limiting his opportunities for being able to run away and forcing himself towards those choke points, just like you've been saying, Roddy. And the Oracle comes out, tags the whole force. He can focus down the Liberators now using this cliff. The Tempest can get some pretty cheeky shots off.
Yep. Decent trade there. Big army on the right side, but Drogo left enough units at home. Photon Overcharge is going to help out and push his army away for now. The French Protoss, he was up 2-0. Now the series is tied, but he's looking pretty good in Game 5, Nate.
Yes, he is. 2 command centers on the way for Polt. He's setting himself up with 5 Vikings at a time.
I had no idea he was going to win.
Drogo ready to encroach on this 4th base, knocking down the planetary fortress. The SCV's coming after barrel. He throws the Disruptor Ball. It's a huge amount of the bio coming in to defend this, but he does save his 4th. He buys himself time. The Marauders are chasing down everything on the low ground, but the Colossi, hey, if you're shooting the Tempest, you're not shooting those, and they roast the ground army. Drogo remains maxed out, using his Adept Stalker Force to defend his own 4th base as he continues to apply pressure to the base of Polt. The Liberators unstaged. And that splash, it's not the highest amount of damage against these armored units, but it is counting for something with this many Vikings to back him up.
Yeah, it's starting to add up. A couple of Tempests have fallen. Of course, Polt still losing a lot of units. Now Stalkers and Adepts coming in to join this battle as well. That just does not end. Most of the Tempests have gone down, though. What a crazy fight, but it seems like Polt may just have enough.
The Stalkers blink forward. They finish off the Liberators that are on the map for the envious Terran player. But all of the Tempests, as you just pointed out, have been completely cleared. He does save the Mothership Core there at the last second. A ton of Stalkers on the way. Can he finish off this 4th base? It would be a huge strike to the economy of the Terran.
Yeah, I mean, Polt did have enough to take care of all the Vikings, but he didn't really have anything left on the ground. Excuse me, the Tempest, but he didn't have anything on the ground anymore. I'm not sure about this forward blink. There's a couple of Marauders in the mix here.
There's a lot of bio here to fight against this questionable move, as he does not get the recall. The Mothership Core goes down, and in all of this, Polt holds on to his 4th.
Polt just refuses to die, man. This is ridiculous. And now he's suddenly taking a 20 supply lead. Drogo still did have a little bit of money in the bank, but Polt did not want to lose this this fort base, this planetary fortress, and even if that man, Nate, eating a full disruptor shot on the ramp, he refused to give it up. He kept it alive. Crazy battle that just lasted for a full minute. Drogo won the ground engagement, but Polt had enough units at home to stabilize. Now we do have a couple of high Templars, and I believe Storm has already been researched.
Yep, he's already got Storm.
Yep, okay. I mean, that's another thing to worry about. Obviously, there's no Ghost Academy. Well, I want to say obviously there's no Ghost Academy, and immediately Paul throws one down. It's like he's like,
such a tower.
He's like, oh, there's no Ghost Academy already. Well, let me throw one down.
No, it's such a tower.
I thought
There's
he
no
built
Ghost
one
Academy.
as well.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, I missed it.
Yeah, no ghosts. That is a good thing to point out, though, because EMP is extremely necessary against these bad boys. Although ranged Liberators can still kind of handle them.
I mean, there's no Tempest anymore. Paul, I must say, man, Paul is very, very good in dealing with these Tempests.
Yeah.
It can be so frustrating to see 6, 7 Tempests shooting away at your army. You lose patience. You decide to go for it. You eat 2 or 3 big disruptor hits, and it's all over. But Paul just avoids these scenarios and eventually manages to clean up a Protoss army that had 7, 8 Tempests.
And the Tempest being gone, I think, is such a huge thing to keep in mind. That Liberator count is only going to grow faster and faster. And with Polt getting another max out with the Liberators, I honestly don't know how Drogo's going to engage him.
I mean, Drogo obviously has a lot of damage on the ground now. He's got so many Storms available. One Storm will connect with Vikings and Liberators immediately. We do have 4 Tempests. I'm very happy to see that. Without these Tempests, Nate, I completely agree with you that this would pretty much be borderline unwinnable for Drogo. But with these Tempests, the dream is definitely alive.
Yeah, what is the Liberator count at now? That seems to be about 10 or so. Okay, so still very, very tricky. I mean, it's hard to snipe those bad boys. They have a lot of hit points as well.
He's got like 2 Storms on every High Templar, though. That's very nice. I mean, he can even like start storming down.
Getting rid of the Vikings can definitely change things because it's not Drogo's, it's not his prerogative to jump into the liberation zones. The only reason why you would do that is because you need to get the Vikings so that your Tempests don't die. And then the Tempests can clean those up. So Storm definitely creates a really good buffer. Well, that Marine just ran past the probe.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like in game 3 and 4, Drogo got himself in a good position, but he just made a lot of bad choices in the mid and late phases of the game. This game, however, I really felt Drogo played so much better, but it just doesn't matter against Polt. Polt just refuses to die. He was down 0-2. But he's playing like a madman in game 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. Especially this game has been incredibly good, again, by Polt.
Yeah, Drogo busting down those rocks, but Polt sieges up his army on this northwest 5th of Drogo. The Storms are solid, but the Liberators are still doing their thing, and this army cannot engage into this many freedom zones. The Stalkers are all just going in to die.
Yeah, you gotta give that Nexus up. A lot of these probes are trapped as well. Polt obviously knows about these probes. Well, actually, no. Wow, okay, that's kind of a nice gesture.
Oh,
we come in peace.
I'll let your probes live.
Polt is like, I just hate Nexi, man. I really have nothing against
I
probes.
got nothing against robots, man. It's like Omnic rights. So this army is going to move over towards the natural. Is at a good way, shutting down the production on that robotics facility, shutting down the natural expansion, and +3 ship weapons for our Terran player. Always love seeing that. That helps astronomically since you don't normally get air upgrades for armor as a Protoss player. It helps those Liberators tremendously if they ever go back to fight on the air against the Tempest.
Shield upgrade's about to finish up for Drogo. That's obviously going to help his High Templar. No. These probes that were saved at first are... Well, now at least a couple of them are going to fall immediately. Drogo realizing, like, man, I'm super broke. I really need to get a Nexus, but this one is going to fall as well. I almost felt that Polt let it finish up on purpose, just so Drogo would burn more money. Yeah. Oh, Colossus is a little bit exposed.
Yeah, and oh my god, all the Liberators are coming up now with the Vikings. He recognizes this entire army is actually killable from the air. The Liberators do not need to siege. The Storms are hitting, but it's not going to be enough. He's cleaning up the Air Force. The Tempests are dropping one by one. The Colossus is eating the splash as well. This could be it for Drogo. Beautiful Storms, but is it going to be enough? I don't think so, Kev.
I don't know, man. That one Archon's got like 74 kills. I'm not sure if there's more, so we need to morph those High Templars into Archons, and he's not doing it. A couple of them die almost immediately. Now a few Adepts show up. All these Marauders got like 1 HP, but more units in the natural. I think this might be it, Nate.
More bio hitting from the east side, knocking down the natural expansion, and GG is called. Polt takes the series 3-2, unbelievable.
He does it again. Polt down 0-2, it doesn't matter. He can always bring it back, and he did it. Man, what a series, Nate. First 2 games, definitely not what we expected. It was all Drogo, pretty dominant. Game 3, 4, and 5, however, there were chances for Drogo. There were opportunities for him to take the series. But Polt, especially I think in game 5, I mean game 4 as well, I must say, what a comeback in game 4.
Both absolutely ridiculous games to be able to witness, and absolutely sick at the end of that game. Actually, didn't notice it until the very end when Polt was killing that Nexus. The robotics bay was there, and it was researching Colossus range.
I mean, he had a couple throughout the game, but I felt like, yeah, I mean, it would have helped obviously quite a bit, but still. I feel like both games, Game 4 and Game 5, were remarkable. I felt in Game 4, even though Polt's comeback was crazy good, I felt it was mostly because Drogo made a couple of poor choices in the later stage in the game. In Game 5, I felt Drogo played so much better, but Polt played better again. Like, he just stepped it up another level. Like, I don't know how many gears this guy has.
Really sick. Really sick play. That is what shows, I think, the championship caliber player that Polt is. He comes here, the more important, the more that's on the line, the further we're in the tournament, and the further behind he is, the better he performs. Just
it's a cliche,
just
but
sick. It's an inspiration to Terrans around the world.
Definitely a heartbreaking defeat for Drogo. I got a feel for him. Got so close to securing his WCS Global Playoffs ticket, but Polt said, nah. He's like, I like money. I haven't won enough yet in my life. We can take a look at some of the crazy battles we had in this game.
This is what Terrans dream about. I see a map covered in rings of death.
I love this decision here by Drogo. Instead of making a bad decision and stepping in all these liberation zones, he backed off, he lost the Nexus, but he started to chip away at his liberated count pretty rapidly with his Tempest. Disruptor hits, unfortunately, could not connect, but he still did a lot of things right. And then the counterattack, I feel he made some decent choices. He got so close to picking up that planetary, even at that massive Disruptor hit on the ramp, but nothing can stop Polt, man. If Polt is in the zone, you just don't stop that man.
Kudos to him, though, for being willing to eat that disruptor shot, because when you're playing in this scenario against Protoss, it's hard, it's easy to forget, that the bio is not the most important part of your army. You know, it's like for years and years, it's all about getting that max out, getting the concaves. In TVP these days, it's about keeping your liberators safe and the economy to keep producing those. I think we're ready to hear now from Polt up on the couch with Smix.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations, Polt. Moving on to the semifinals. The crowd here absolutely loves you. I have to say, though, as soon as you came up here, it physically looked like a huge weight was falling off your shoulders. You looked so relieved, and you sat down and you just let out this huge sigh. So, I mean, that was definitely perhaps harder than you thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't underestimate him, but anyways, I thought I was a better player in general, so, well, that doesn't guarantee like easy win, but I thought like if I play my game, then I would have won, but like for the first two games, I wasn't able to play my game, like, I don't know, maybe because of my condition or maybe because it's the first time I play on the stage at this tournament, but anyways, I figured what my mistake was, and for the 3 to 5 games, I played just my game. I tried to that and it worked out.
Well, you said you figured out what your mistakes were, but tell us what those were. Like, what were the things that you focused on and thought, okay, I just need to work on these things, and then the wins 3 to 5 came according to you. So what were those things?
So basically, I tried to like mix out some builds, like to like, confuse him, but it was not necessary. I mean, if I just played just like one of the most safe builds, then I just win. I figured that in like from the first 2 games, so I exactly did the same thing in the last 3 games. So that's what I figured out.
What do you think Drogo's biggest mistake was? Because he was playing so well early on there, and then it started to turn around. Was it nerves? Are you just more experienced in this? Maybe more confident? Was it that you had overall better strategy, or was it maybe that your control was better?
Someone might call it like I'm just better player in general in the late game, but if I have to pick just one biggest mistake from him, is like not really expanding, like when he gets like 4 space, he stops expanding. That's like what I thought, like, okay, if I just hold my 4th, then I win because he doesn't get any 5th or 6th space. But if he did like try to get like more bases, then I'd had much harder time because I have to defend and attack at the same time.
It was really an incredible series, possibly one of the best ones in the entire tournament. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Do you feel like after a match like that, you can easily take this whole tournament, or will it still be tough?
This kind of stuff is like, it's hard to say, but I like it a lot. I mean, of course, someone might say, yeah, if you win like 3-0 easy game, it's better, but I don't like it. I mean, as a gamer, not only a pro gamer, I enjoy this game, and when I win like that, I feel like really good, and then when I feel good, I play well. So probably I will play much better tomorrow.
Now, in this particular series, it can't be overstated enough that coming back from a 2-0 deficit is incredibly hard to do. It takes a lot of mental fortitude. And I want to speak to Apotheosis in particular because there was a moment where you only had 11 SCVs left. That was the fourth game. And it was looking a little bit dangerous. I wasn't really sure. I mean, you did have a much larger army, but that being said, I wasn't really sure where it was going to go. Was there any moment in that particular game where you felt like maybe it could slip away from you?
First of all, thanks for letting me know I only had 11 series. I didn't even know that.
I just wanted to let you know,
Yeah, but anyways, I didn't really know like how many SCVs I had. I just had like low economy. But as I said before, I knew that he didn't really have good economy either. So I just tried to like survive there. And as long as I survive, I have like Liberators and Vikings. That kind of unique composition can deal with like if he gets like a lot of units like High Templars and Tempest, whatever, then I can't really deal with them. But since I knew that he doesn't really have that good economy, I thought like if I just hold it again and again, then eventually that I will win.
Well, when you did, the next opponent you face will be a tough one indeed. It'll be the winner of either Neeb or Scarlet. Now, when it comes to Neeb, I was looking at your match history with him, and I saw that you guys haven't played at an offline tournament, but online you've played 4 times this year, and he's won actually 3 of those 4 times. With Scarlet, you've actually won a lot more recently, but that being said, she's looked on fire at this tournament. Obviously, the Canadian fans are behind her as well. So just when you look at those 2 players, is there a particular player you think will come out? And do you want to face someone more?
So as you said, match history shows that Neeb might be stronger against me, but in my opinion, like especially at offline events, I think Scarlet's stronger than Neeb, at least against me. And considering that, I want to play against Scarlet.
I'm sure that the fans here in Canada agree with you, but congratulations again. You will be moving on to the semifinal, and of course, guys, that means that we have 1 match left for today. I'm sure the fans here are very excited for that, as well as you guys at home. It should be a really, really exciting one. It'll be Neeb versus Scarlet, so make sure to tune into that, as it'll be great.